Welcome back, everyone, to the Fast Life Podcast. Hope you guys had a great weekend. Hope you guys are starting a great week. It's Tuesday here. I should be releasing this podcast tonight, so it should be Tuesday night for you folks, or Wednesday morning, depending on when you check into this. This past weekend, man, we had a good time at Nitty Gritty Chopper City. I want to give a shout out to Zombie Mike and Eric Vaughn, the guys that put on the show, and it's just awesome watching you guys work your ass off to make such an awesome event. And whoever jumped that bonfire with that mini bike, man, that was pretty fucking cool, dude. Thanks to beer, which we talk about in this podcast, makes a lot of great things happen in this world. So had a great time, man. Had a great time hanging out with all the East Texas homies. Came out. My Anvil homies came through too, man. Got to give a shout out to my boy Jaden for being extra wild this weekend, man. I don't think I'm allowed to talk about the things he did, but it was fucking funny, man. I hope you guys were following our Instagram stories on that shit. So anyway, like I said, it was a great time, and once again, Nitty Gritty Chopper City was a great time, even though it rained like a motherfucker Sunday and it was cold as shit riding home, but it was still a great pile of memories I got to make. So, awesome, man. Thank you guys again for that. I also want to just jump into our sponsors here, man. I hope you guys have at least told somebody. I don't know how it works, but I hope that you've looked into the D&D sale going on this month, because it's a really, really good deal. As you know, November, which is this month, which we don't have a lot of time left, but 20% off on all D&D pipes for veterans, for, in honor for the Veterans Day, shenanigans, I guess. But 20% off, all you got to do is pretty much call 844-D&D pipe, have proof of service, past or present, and, you get 20% off in your purchase, man, which is a great, great deal. So if I was considering it, I would jump on that if I were you guys. Otherwise, you can always go on to D&D. What is the D and? Is it D and D? Yeah, hold on, I'm fucking up. Sorry, Rusty. D and fuck, man, I'm messing up. I have my podcast notes, but they're kind of scrambled because of all the information he gave me. But anyway, you can always go on their website and basically put in Fast Life as a promo code, and then you'll get 5% off a purchase as well if you're just just a normal civilian like myself and whatnot. But check out the website, exhaust.com, also on Facebook, and the letter N, exhaust on Instagram. Once again, the phone number is 844-D&D pipe. You'll actually talk to a real human being, which is pretty nice and pretty cool. And like I said, Rusty's doing a lot of cool shit, so, and especially for the militaries and the service members of our great United States of America. So check that out. Don't forget about it. I also want to thank my boy Mark, Texas Performance. Yesterday was his birthday. I know the last podcast I told you his birthday was coming. Well, it has taken place. I don't know what kind of shit he got into, but just want to say happy birthday to you, sir. Thanks for being an awesome guy. Can't wait to have you back on the podcast again. In the meantime, you can always check out Mark at Texas Performance MC on Instagram as well as online. You can always stop into his shop at Cedar Park, Texas, and get some service work, maybe order some parts, get some parts installed, or maybe start that dream project. You know what I mean? You can hit him up. He's going to be there to do it, and he's probably going to be the best guy for the job. So check him out, as always, TexasPerformanceMC.com and on Instagram. I also want to thank my buddy Brian at Paint Huffer Metal Flake. Always doing cool shit. So I guess, I kind of brought it up last time, but I guess we're, a lot of us artists, including myself and some other really known artists in the custom paint industry, are getting the opportunity to have our own line of flakes and pearls and stuff like that. So I'm really excited about that coming out and being a part of that, and really thankful for the opportunity that he gave us for that stuff. So you can always go check out a great podcast we did with him in a couple months back, and like I said, you can always go on painthuffer.com and order flakes. Check out all the products, the shirts, the hats. They got some pretty dope stuff that you can wear if you're not really if you're not much of a painter or whatever. But you can also go on Painthuffer Metal Flake on Instagram and see a lot of really cool projects. A lot of badass painters from across the world that use their products. And, it's just a good place for artists to see artists work, or customers to see artists work. So anyway, check them out. I also want to thank Horsepower Inc. I want to say they're having a Black Friday sale. They didn't really give me any information about this, but and I'm in my shop, which I have no service, so I can't check anything. But Let me see if I can pull it up. Hold on. Horsepower Inc. on Instagram. There it is. And obviously, man, you can always check out their website, horsepowerinc.net, and you're going to be able to check out all the throttle bodies and exhaust systems and air cleaners and swag they got for sale. And I want to say that the deal is, like I said, I have shitty service in my shop, but I want to say the deal is throttle wire, throttle bodies. What's the proper term for that? Is it cable-driven throttle bodies? Yeah, that's it. So cable-driven throttle bodies, I want to say there's a deal on it. You can definitely go to their website and check it out and see what the deal is. You can also check them out on Facebook at Horsepower Inc. Indy on Facebook, Horsepower Inc. on Instagram, and horsepowerinc.net, and check out that shit. Also, if you're in the Indianapolis area, you can always stop in the shop and check out all the great stuff they have, or get your bike dyno tuned, worked on, big motors, all that good shit. So always doing big things up there. Check those guys out. I also want to thank all you guys for checking us out. We did start an Instagram page, and I am going to try my best to do some more in-depth content related to the podcast we release. So my goal with it was basically to start a page, and then, you know, when we talk about things on this podcast, you know, maybe that could be the place where I can post pictures or stories or things related to the podcast, right? That hopefully you guys will be able to check out and see the engagement and just kind of know what's going on and have more of a visual representation of it. And also a place that I can really shed more light on our guests and get more light on what's going on the media aspect of my business, right? So the Fast Life podcast on Instagram, check it out. Also, you know, like I said, all you guys that have been supporting us on Patreon, I appreciate it. All you guys sharing the videos, you know, just the stories, I appreciate it. You guys are kicking ass with that stuff, and really thankful for all that. This podcast, man, me, my brother Jesse, and a good friend Daniel Comio, who is one of the original guys from the Drunk Cast we did earlier this year that pretty much will never see the day of light. You know, he came through. He's one of our buddies that hangs out with us at the Anvil Bike Night and does all the shit with us. So he's a good dude. And basically we went on Instagram and just did a Instagram live, asked people questions, stuff they would want us to talk about. And lo and behold, we came up with 3.5 hours of fucking content. So I think the last hour of it is pretty non-motorcycle related and pretty, I don't know, confrontational. I don't know if it's confrontational or I don't know. It probably shouldn't have been sharing my thoughts on it, but hey, you know, fuck it. We'll see what happens, right? But here you guys go. Check out my buddies Daniel and my queer brother Jesse. Thanks.
Hey guys, you ready to let the dogs out?
Fast Life Podcast. It looks like a murderer would write that, you know?
Murderer.
Yeah.
Murdering. Anyway, we're live now, and we went on Instagram Live, and we asked a couple questions. We did this earlier this year with me and Jesse, but we got our boy Daniel Comio. Hey. He is a podcast veteran, unreleased.
He's been in multiple.
Pretty much every podcast we've done that we got super drunk, he was there.
Yeah.
And then we didn't release it.
Exactly.
So let's keep this one clean, guys.
Let's keep it mean, keep it clean.
This is, yeah, okay.
All right, well, you know, yeah, so.
I've been practicing.
You've been practicing, yeah.
Pronunciation of words.
Pronunciation. Well, before we get into the deals, man, so what's been up, guys? You know?
I want to know what was up with Nitty Gritty. How did that go?
Yeah.
Can you stop doing that to the mic? You know how this shit works.
Yeah, dude.
It says,
Nitty Gritty was dope, man. I was telling Daniel a while ago we went to eat, and I was like, man, I gotta stop drinking so much at these events.
Why?
Cause man, like, so
what did you
we were hanging out Saturday night, and this was right after the bonfire incident where the dude jumped it with the bike.
That was dope.
Which was pretty epic. I'm not gonna lie.
All over Instagram.
And then I walked up to Mark and Justin from Hang 'em High Customs. They were talking, and I don't know if they were talking, and I just walked in there and started talking too. You know, like, oh shit, talk, let's go. You know what I mean? Like, I was super drunk at this point.
Okay.
And then, of course, you know how I am. I get super opinionated and super.
So probably the first thing you said when you walked in that conversation was, "Your opinion sucks."
No, we just kind of started talking about a lot of stuff, and it was cool at first, but then it's like, things started triggering me, and so every like deep dark emotion about my opinions about things started coming to the surface.
Oh, that's called being drunk.
Yeah,
That's
so
how
I was
I
like,
feel.
the next morning, like there was this dude that was hanging out there, and I sent him an email or a direct message on Instagram. I was like, dude, I'm sorry if I offended you last night.
Yeah.
Because I was just running my mouth the entire time.
So you were me at Giddy Up.
Yeah, pretty much.
Oh,
yeah.
dude, I'm sorry.
Yeah. But no, it was a good show, man. I think the whole show was badass. I still, even though Zombie Mike, I'm not a fan of Sunday shows. I think it should be Saturdays, man.
Yeah.
And for many reasons, I think that the amount of people that were there on Sunday for the show, if those people would have been there partying Saturday or then been there at the show
Saturday
and
night.
then let it carry on through Saturday night, it would have been one of the most epic events ever.
Yeah.
It's like, think about it. Like, we went to Southern Throwdown. We had a blast Saturday, and guess what we were doing Sunday? We were too fucking hungover to do
Yeah.
much. I mean, I know that you had a good time and stuff like that, but we did it all Saturday.
Dude, Sunday
Sunday's wind
sucked.
down,
Yeah. I still stayed up, and then I went to a club that night until fucking 4 a.m.
Sunday was
Running
me
around like 2 hours of
recuperating from sleeping on the floor.
I got to sleep next to T-Bar Jesus,
Yeah.
so that was cool.
Yeah.
He touched me.
Nobody touched me. The floor touched me.
Sometimes you gotta sleep on the floor, man.
Yeah, dude.
Hey, I
But
was,
no,
I was comfy.
The show was good, though. I mean, it's, once again, man, me and Daniel were just talking about this. I feel like there needs to be a real show for, like, the performance bikes, man. There really just needs to be something to kind of bring everybody together to help kind of, exploit the scene, I guess.
Mm-hmm. I mean, that's something that we've been saying that for, I feel like years now.
A year.
A year. It feels like a longer time than that, but
Well, and even before then, everybody's talked about it because it's not necessarily that there isn't one. It's just that there isn't one here. There's not one necessarily in our neck of the woods that's not forever away. So,
Well, even the
what's
ones,
defined forever away?
well, I mean,
Houston's our neck of the woods, dude.
yeah, but
But that doesn't have
it's not
a
a performance
performance
show. It's a we were talking about
it's a chopper show.
Jason and I were talking about this earlier. There's a lot of chopper shows, and we all go, like I say we, like the Dyna and the Bagger and Sportster community, they all go to those shows, the FXR guys, they all go. Because everybody's kind of like, oh, cool, choppers. But those chopper guys aren't always that into the
other shit?
performance
Yeah.
side of it. Not that they're not into it. It's just, they're like, oh, well, we see that all the time.
well, they want to keep their shows more geared towards the pre-83, 84 kind of bikes.
Right.
And so that kind of eliminates a lot of the current movement of bikes. And I mean, you look at the only places that do shed light on like FXRs and Dynas, like the Born Free show with San Diego Customs in the mix. Mm-hmm. And it's like maybe the Hot Bike Tour could have also been that, but who know? No one really knows if it's going to continue or not. This year was kind of a mess.
Yeah.
You have your little niche shows in places like Sturgis and whatnot, but like other than that, like there's no show that you go to that you go out of your way to go to like
around here.
bring your badass bike anywhere for them. I mean, well, I say that there are shows like I know Barnstorm does stuff.
Well,
up in,
I feel like performance bikes are just now becoming a new trend.
yeah.
So it's something that's just going to build and grow. So
That's like not this last year at Rot Rally, but the year before last, they had that FXR show that turned into an FXR Dyna show because there were so many Dynas that get lumped into that category. And I
Yeah.
think that's kind of where
God is like the ugly brother. Like,
it is. It's like the weird
I guess you can hang out.
the weird stepbrother.
Yeah.
But I think that now, even with like the performance bagger and even some of the Sportsters are getting into that niche where they're more involved with that scene.
Well, you
because-
go to any parking lot at any of these shows and you see it's almost like even baggers, there's just like a certain crowd that fits into it, and it's not so much a bike base, but it's just like some people don't want to do the golf cart shows and those big, more over the top rallies, but we use those rallies to kind of like bring people together for more than one reason, and then we try to like build off of it. So like the Performance Harley show in Orlando is kind of like a spin-off or an addition to Daytona.
It's kind of like the whole rally itself is like
Yeah.
the play box, and then inside of it is different areas to go and fuck around.
Or maybe like you just said, it's like it's such a new thing in a sense. Like some old heads hear us talk about performance bikes, and they like, man, like we were building pro streets back in the 90s.
My wife.
but it's really not a pro street look. It's really more of a purpose-built bike is what it really boils down to.
That's exactly what it is. Everybody gets their head wrapped around the performance portion, but really we build purpose-built bikes, I guess is more the lingo for it, because it is built for a purpose, because we're all coming from the other versions of those bikes. We all made our Dynas look like that. The FXRs, we made them ride like that. And now you and I, it's making baggers handle like.
I don't know if I'm building my bike for a purpose other than to just fix the things that were overlooked or fucked up.
Well, no, think about it. Your bike is totally a purpose-built bike.
Because I got like handguards and shit for the fucking.
I say it because it's ugly as fuck, and everything serves a purpose.
You just don't. You sacrifice purpose for aesthetics, and I don't really give enough of a fuck about the aesthetics.
I think that you can have both, though. You can have a bike that serves the purpose, but still, like.
I think it looks dope when you look at the bike and you're like, that motherfucker lives on that shit. Like, if they wanted to, they could. You know what I mean?
I think my favorite thing is where you have the bike that can do the things and take you across country and rip around, but still has the thing where you can rip the sissy bar off the back of it and maybe take your ram mount off, and then bam, it's a show bike.
That's the difference, though, is I like the ram mount and I like the sissy bar. Whenever I see a Dyna that doesn't have a fairing on it, it looks fucking naked. Like, it looks weird to me. When I see a Dyna and it's got like the whole thing, like, fucking throw over bags or leather pros or whatever the fuck you run, and like a sissy bar, hand guards, fucking crash bar, all that shit. It looks fucking good to me.
Y'all both have hand guards on you. Would you say it helps out a lot in the wintertime?
Yes.
No.
Mine do.
Chief is another one of our homies, and he was saying yesterday when we ride back from Nitty Gritty, it was fucking freezing cold, and all of us went down there in hoodies, right? So none of us really had leather or anything like that.
Dumbass, man.
Well, the fucking weather 90 degreed on us, degree as far as like the circular pattern, which would then be a 180 actually.
I was
90 in a circle.
He wants to build exhaust.
Well, you see the square root of pi.
Okay. Yeah.
So
what was Chief saying?
Well, Chief is a big guy, and his handguards are tiny, so he's like, dude, my hands dwarf those handguards.
I told him that.
Yeah.
Before he bought those, I said, dude, you're gonna have to get the bigger ones if you want anything like actual fucking purpose out of those.
Well, and even I have
the smaller ones.
You got those big ass ones. What are they? The
Acerbis?
Mad something.
Power
Mad. I have Power Mad.
How mad are you? I'm power mad.
I'm definitely power mad at the fact that
they don't. Joke I've ever heard.
They don't really block the wind. They definitely put the wind.
They move. Okay, you can't get rid of wind. It just moves it. You're displacing the wind where it's
the same thing as when you put a fairing on a Dyna. It comes from underneath the fairing instead of coming directly at you.
Yeah.
So where my handguards don't block the wind completely from hitting my hands, they divert the wind in other places. So I think what irritates the piss out of me is that they divert it from the middle of my hand or my fingers to the top of my hand, which just goes right up my sleeve. So you're just cold, or it's right in my face, where I used to be able to ride with my visor cracked. I can't because the wind goes directly into my helmet.
Why don't we take it to the next level? You seen those like handlebar mittens?
Oh, that's awesome. Power Mad makes those too.
Where it's like a complete glove that goes over your bar and hand controls and everything. You stick your hands in them.
For the ATVs. That's
for real?
It's like up north.
I would totally rock that if it was cold all the time.
That's taking purpose built to the next level.
Yeah.
That's probably what Steve Chamberlain needs up there.
He said he had seen he had either seen somebody with him or he had run him himself, but they put him on four-wheelers and quads and stuff, because you go riding around and you don't have to wear gloves. I mean, you just stick your hand in that little mitten and then you're good to go.
I would still wear gloves.
You imagine having heated grips with those things?
Man.
Do they make heated helmets?
Yes. I want a heated bodysuit, man.
Yes.
Like straight up.
That would make your fucking
just
life
for like
so
the
much
2
easier.
months that it's cold here.
Yeah, I want to go over the top with it.
That 2 months lasts forever, dude. I feel like I've been riding in freezing weather my entire life at this point.
You really, here in Dallas, which North Texas area, you're really not going to hit the weather that's miserable until January and February. And after that, and even in January, like hell.
January is very hit and miss, though.
Yeah.
Because I remember when we did that New Year's ride, it wasn't that bad.
Yeah. So, I don't know, man. But no, like back to the whole show concept. I think that Nitty Gritty is good. I think that all the shows in Texas are badass. I mean, I was telling him, I thought Nitty Gritty was more hardcore chopper dudes than anything.
Yeah, so it's actually a good time.
But I mean, then you got Giddy Up. That's more. I would say that's more of like a.
That's the hipster.
That's the same thing, but it's a lot bigger. So you get a lot more involvement from out of state people and shit.
Yeah, and then you get like more hipstery type people and shit.
That and it's bigger, so you get it feels more compact because the area is not as big, but there's a lot more people there, so you have more of an accumulance of people. I guess.
What?
That's a big word.
Accumulance, like,
Is that even a word?
yeah, I made it up just now.
Sure.
I'm pretty sure it's a word somewhere in some language.
All right.
We're gonna roll
Those
with
letters make something. But no, but you know, me and Mark have talked about it for a while about investing into some type of event to do stuff. But I mean, realistically, that's what we did with the camp out. Like, that's what we want to do, because a part of me doesn't really want to get involved with judging people's shit. I already do that.
I don't think you should. I think if we were to do a show, like, say if all of our friends just were like, fuck it, let's do a show, I think it should just be like a
bike night.
Yeah, basically.
I mean, that's what we do every Tuesday.
But I mean, not like a bike night, but like, maybe get an award for whoever's got the shittiest fucking or the highest miles on their bike or whatever, like whatever, something to reward riding and not give a fuck about the fact that there's 40,000 dead bugs on your
you need like shows that will shed light on the people that have invested money and time into creating something badass. You need that stuff because that really helps drive the industry. That's why we're really I know myself and Mark, and we're all really wanting to invest time and help to make the Easy Rider show that's coming to Austin to be a big thing.
Yeah, we all have to be there. 100%.
Absolutely. That's a big deal. That's been what, 5-6 years since they've been here. 15
the last
years?
one was like, I want to say it's either between 06 and 08 was the last time.
Oh, so at least 12 years.
Yeah,
I remember going to that when I was a kid, which sounds terrible, but I went to an Easy Rider show when I was a kid with my dad.
So fucked up.
Yeah, and everybody that name is synonymous. It's like you think about that and you're like, damn, that's the kind of shit that I used to sneak into my parents' bedroom and shit, or sneak the fucking magazines and shit. You look at that shit and you're like, oh, okay, cool. That's what you think about. And
the truth is, have any of you ever jerked off to an Easy Rider magazine?
Absolutely.
I don't know if I've
never jerked off because my entire childhood I've always had internet porn, so there's been no reason. If you're looking at magazines, you're fucking lame. Shit doesn't move.
We have imaginations.
Yeah, but I was gonna say, it's like, if you do throw a show and you do want to reward somebody for being the furthest road or whatever, don't fucking give them a skateboard. Like,
well, yeah, they can't.
They did that. Yeah, it's like, what are they gonna do? Fucking put more shit on their bike that they're probably already overfilled on. Like, don't fucking give them something like that. If you want to do that, you better ask for their address and ship it.
Just ship it. Yeah.
Like, that doesn't make any sense.
But like with the Easy Rider show, like he just said, it's got a big name, so it's going to draw a crowd that's maybe not a part of our, the chopper community and that kind of stuff. You know what I'm saying? So
there's definitely going to be a lot of the age group there is going to be very wildly varied. Like, there's going to be a fucking huge.
Realistically, it's a perfect opportunity for people to see that aren't, because some of these guys are a little bit older. They're just not immersed with Instagram like some of us are. Mm-hmm. Can you please do whatever you're doing and stop?
You okay there, buddy?
Get whatever you're putting in your mouth and stop.
It's fucking...
Yeah. All right.
Jesus.
Is this awkward for you, Daniel?
Yeah, that was a little aggressive,
Always,
dude.
Always.
There's a comment on the fucking YouTube of the Steve Heeger one where he's chewing the gum.
Oh, that wasn't me, dude. I wasn't there. I would have told him something.
Yeah, well, I'm telling you something right now, motherfucker.
You just tell me something because you think you can talk shit, motherfucker.
No, because now I know how shitty that sounds when you re-listen to it.
Sounds terrible.
But
nothing you do.
The Easy Rider show is going to be a good chance for people for people that like all our types of bikes that are there. That would give people a chance to see another style of bike and maybe find another. I don't know the right word is happiness, but be inspired to go down another path in motorcycles because, some people are a little bored with the, well, my dad rides a straight glide and I got an ultra and we're doing ape hangers. Like, it's showing people different opportunities they can build bikes and it might, and I think that the whole purpose-built performance side of things is, like I said on the Mad Jap podcast, it's really just 100% things that you're going to enjoy having on your bike more because you're going to feel a difference with the suspension and, performance upgrades.
Why would you want to pay money to do something that's you're either not going to have any, it's not going to do anything or it's going to make it worse?
Because some people have that mentality that they look at it and they're like, okay, well, this looks cool.
Well, I don't have enough money to fuck with like that.
Or they think it goes back to and dare I say it, the big wheel bagger thing. It's a look.
Yeah.
It's not a, hey, this ride's better than everything. It's gonna perform better than anything. It was a completely aesthetic.
Which, I mean, you can't fucking really hate on it because of the fact that you can't hate on it because of the fact that
Put it down.
there's always been.
He can't put it down.
Dude, he's so mad. He's staring at it, just waiting for me to fuck with it.
Fucking put it down, dude. Get all the little trinkets he has over there. Take it from him.
Dude, my anxiety's terrible, man. I'm sorry.
Hold yourself, dude.
Fuck, dude. I'm just start jerking off silently.
You know what really changed my perspective with, not changed it on big wheel baggers, but
What I was gonna say though is with motorcycles, there's always been a thing that people did just for looks. That's always been a thing.
Yeah,
so you can't just like say that guy's a fucking idiot and I don't want to hang out with him just because he decided
I think
he
that
had
some
money.
people, like, I think what really made me reassess my thoughts was hanging out with Cody with his big wheel, and he's like the big wheel bagger guy.
Yeah.
He's the Dyna guy trapped in a big wheel bagger guy's body.
So he was you a couple years ago?
Yeah. But you know, he's riding with us all over country with his 30-inch front wheel, not all over the country, all over Texas. So it's like as big as the country, kind of. But he's at all these events. He's camping out. He's partying. He loves doing this shit. It just so happens that he's doing it on a big wheel, and I think that's fucking cool. Now, the other thing I don't want to take away from somebody that spend money on that shit is that I feel like my Dyna or my FXR or my bagger is cool, but when we're in a parking lot,
nobody's looking at that.
God.
They're looking at the
we
big wheel.
can't even compete with him and his bike. And so, in someone that spent that kind of money on a bike, like, you know, he might not be able to ride it as hard as we can. So when we're hauling ass and doing all our shit, he might not be able to do that and enjoy that part of it. But, you know, when he stopped at a parking lot and everybody's taking pictures and getting him to sign autographs and shit, it kind of gives you a high of like, fuck, man, this is pretty cool.
Well, yeah, that's you're getting your fucking ego stroked right there.
Well, not even that. You've done something that people admire.
Yeah.
You're doing something that someone else is going to look at and they're going to go, oh, that's actually kind of cool.
That just draws a crowd of people who don't know what they're looking at.
True,
but that's what it's about. Not necessarily.
I'm not hating. I'm just stating facts, though.
Right,
Those are
absolutely.
people. The people in the parking lot are people who don't ride.
It's just making something appealing to someone else.
I think that Chili's dope. I still look at big wheel baggers and I'm like, you know, some of them are fucking sick. I mean, some of them are stupid and these dudes need to chill out. But some of them are sick as fuck. I don't know. I feel like for me though, I would just not want to spend that much money on something that.
I think that's the hard thing now, looking back, like how much money I did spend on it.
That's a
lot. Knowing how many different types of bikes I could have built or done with that, or, you know, just I guess the main thing is like
granted, if you do it right, if you fucking cut the neck and you fucking weld a new one on, not this fucking bolt-on shit.
Well, if you you know, looking at it from, I think what fueled me when I was building mine was that I felt like I was investing in something that was going to be worth a lot more money. So I felt like, and that was kind of like the old Harley, what is it? The saying that went around is that like, if you bought a Harley, it was a good investment because it held its value. Mm-hmm. And then, you know, you add all this money to it. And especially when I was building my bagger, like it was kind of probably like, it wasn't brand new, but it was still young in the industry of big wheel baggers. So in my head, I was like, damn, I got X amount of dollars. This is a $50,000 bike, right? In my head, I was like, man, I'll sell this anytime I want and get $50,000. And of course, it wasn't the case, you know, and there's so many baggers out there for way less, or, you know, way more money in it and way less they're getting back out of it.
Well, yeah, they typically go for anywhere from 25 to 30.
No, I mean, it depends on the bikes that you're doing, but the thing is, like, people will drop $40,000 in these bikes, especially like for me, it wasn't that because I did all the work. On top
of fucking already the bike itself.
Yeah. And then, you know, it's like there's not a lot of people walking around willing to spend $70,000 on a bike.
No, not at all.
Especially, I don't know.
I mean, fuck, do you think if everybody had to, if every CVO out there that's $43,000 now, if that was something people had to buy cash, if that wasn't a financeable thing, because think about it, some of the baggers, these $70,000 bikes or $60,000 bikes, it's hard for them to get financing on some of that shit because it's so expensive. And it's not like these people are financing a factory bike. They're financing a custom bike that could
basically
be
building a big wheel bagger, and with the idea that you're going to finish it and sell it is kind of like just fucking playing lottery.
Well, you know, the way you do it is you either have a reputation like Covington, you know, Customs that builds really high-end bikes and really nice shit and makes all their own billet shit.
Right.
Or you buy all the cheap billet shit and you keep the cost of what it costs to build the bike as cheap as possible. You know, like my boy Andrew from...
So how would you make money, say you wanted to do that? Say you wanted to build a big wheel bagger.
Okay, so let me give you this scenario. My buddy Andrew from Andrew's Custom Cycles, he was smart, in my opinion. So what he did was, when he was building big wheel baggers every fucking day, he didn't go buy all PM shit, because PM shit was expensive. He bought the SMT or something like that was a cheaper brand. Mm-hmm. You know, obviously... it was more of a generic style, you know, because think about it, he's building a bike that people want to, like, off the shelf spend 30 to 35 grand, and most of his customers were like military guys that had that kind of, like, you know, they could swing that, you know what I mean? So, and people wanted 30, so he put the shit on the bike that was the most appealing thing, right? And to us, like, people that were building bikes and trying to be really more artistic with it, you know, I looked at it like, man, that's fucking cheap. Like, you got a 30-inch front wheel, no matching rear wheel, a stock seat.
Yeah.
You know, like, it just, there's certain things about it. But I can't knock the dude's hustle, because he fucking flipped his way up into a Lambo, you know? So what he did was is that he would go buy 30-inch wheels from Metal Sport, but he would buy a pallet of them. So he was getting them for what a distributor or less would cost. And so the same thing he did with, like, Camtech.
And he was just slapping them on every bike he would get. Yeah.
Because, I mean...
I'm assuming he did, like, the welding and all that shit himself too.
Well, he had a shop that did it.
Yeah, he had a shop.
He told me that he sold 2 big wheel baggers and bought a rent house, right? Built 2 more, bought another. He was building big wheel baggers and buying rent houses.
So he was building and then investing in other shit.
You know,
so what the fuck are we doing, dude?
He's a hustler, though, dude. Like, there is a certain mentality in a hustler salesman kind of thing, where they're always making sales and buying and selling and buying and selling. Like, that's... You know, that's a mentality you got to be in. Like,
our mentality is just like, I wonder how hard we can work before our fingers don't work anymore, and then we're just sad because we don't have any money.
Well, not a lot of us have the gift of gab to really just talk people into buying things. And,
dude, I can't even talk my way into anything.
Obviously,
the more I talk,
the, joke
the worse
around
it gets.
our group.
Talk your way out of a paper bag,
dude. I talk my way out of anything, out of it, not into it. Yeah.
But no, big wheel baggers, man. They got a place, and
well, on that note, I gotta pee.
About time. I'll pause it till he gets back. All right, we'll get into these questions now. This weekend, me and one of the homies from the Anvil, we were talking about this, about how, because he was, talking about, I guess back up, James, our cousin James, just traded in his Dyna for a new lowrider, Softail.
Yeah, Softail.
Obviously, the other James that we're building the Sport Glide for, he 100% upgraded from a V-Rod, so it's really not the same thing.
Thank God.
But Kyle was talking about, man, I'm really thinking about, selling this bike or trading it in for, a Softail. And I think the thing is that, between guys like me and Daniel here with our baggers, and then Mark with his bike, and how hard we've been riding lately, some of the Dyna shit's been kind of like having issues with high speeds and wobbling and things like that. And you see a lot of people, or I guess you said it best earlier, like within our group, you see the Dyna fading away.
Yeah.
Yeah, it sucks, man, because y'all are going to leave me behind. I'm stuck in a Dyna or an FXR.
Well, I guess the bigger question is, I think what we were talking about,
if I could upgrade, I fucking would.
Me and Daniel were talking about, with the Softail being, I guess I hate to make a statement that I don't know 100%, but I guess a more elite handling and performing bike than a Dyna, and with an FXR being a more elite handling bike, I wouldn't say it's more powerful or this, but it's definitely a better platform to build a better bike.
Yeah.
So the Dyna's kind of left being like a bastard stepchild that doesn't really have a purpose anymore.
It had a purpose because it was this has been said a million times. It's the Swiss Army knife of motorcycles. So you could take all your parts and you could put them on any Dyna. It didn't matter what year. Well, now, like this lowrider, literally are just trying to find different parts that you can put on from the Dynas. So, like James, we're going to re-drill those bags and repurpose those Defender bags he has. Yeah. So it's like, it's not a matter of if the Dyna is going to stay alive. I don't think the Dyna will die because, like we were talking about earlier, the Dyna is always going to have a place. It's always going to say,
I feel like the Dyna it's the permanent
All right,
stepping stone.
When you get your chance to talk, then you can feel like however you want. Go ahead.
It's going to have it's had its time.
He's legit mad right now.
That fucking pissed me off.
You just interrupted him like he was still talking, dude.
He took a breath.
I hate when mommy and daddy fight. This is what you guys have no idea.
Yeah.
So
Jace is so triggered today.
Hashtag.
So makes hashtag hand signs.
I can remember what I was gonna say.
Yeah, I fucking lost my train of thought. Thanks
Oh,
a
I
lot,
remember.
Jesse. What a dick.
I remember what I was gonna say.
No, the Dyna is. I don't think it'll die per se. I think that it will phase itself out, like kind of how the FXR did for a little while.
Yeah.
But it'll come back because there are people who are hardcore into Dynas, and I think that once everybody gets the Softail bug out of their system, or if you ride them, they're comfortable. They handle better. I mean, my wife has a Softail, so I can kind of attest to what we're talking about as far as how they handle better than a Dyna, because I had a Dyna. That Fat Bob outperforms my Dyna that was fully built. So, and hers has stock suspension, has the forward control. She's a Fat Bob. She has the forward control. The only thing we did was put 12-inch bars on it and T-bars, and the thing is night and day compared to my Dyna.
So what do you think?
I was gonna say the Dyna is kind of like a permanent stepping stone into probably like riding and building Harleys.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's kind of like where it all starts. Is you get a Dyna and you're like, oh, I can start actually like I can afford some parts on this fucking thing for like kids like me.
Yeah.
And like I think that's why it'll always be a permanent thing, because it's like an easy fix to get to be on a Harley. You know what I mean?
think going out that statement, you can still pick up Dynas super cheap, so it's gonna be a good bike for anybody that wants to get into bikes.
I fucking hope they get way unpopular and all the prices of all the parts go way the fuck down, because then my shit's gonna be dope.
And that's exactly the point.
I mean, Brad rode his Dyna fucking with us all the way across the country and no problems.
It can be done.
I think the wobble thing was like more of a like I didn't realize it was there until everybody started saying it, and I was like, oh, I guess that's what that was that I was just living with. But it never really bothered me when I had my Dyna.
Whenever I rode your Dyna, I remember very vividly going to Cliff's wedding, and then we were hauling ass. You were on the FXR, and we were going like 100 something, and then I let off the gas really quick, and right when I did that, the bike just started fucking wobbling out of control, and I had no helmet on, and I was like, dude, this is where it ends for me. And like ever since then, I've been so paranoid about them.
Yeah.
Because you
said your Dyna would wobble a lot too, though, right?
Mine does it a lot, but like.
You think it is just the motor mounts though? Like
I think mine right now are the motor mounts, because mine mostly aren't so much going straight, but like in the turns, when you're leaning the bike, the motor starts leaning too, and it's like going like this, so it's like throwing you up and down while you're in a turn. So that's how I know it's a motor mount. But I think the wobble is just something that just is there. It's just fucking part of the frame. It's part of the bike. There's nothing you can do to get rid of that shit. So I kind of live with that. I'm 90 miles an hour is about as fast as I comfortably go. I can go. I've done 100 on that bike. I've done 105, and it felt like shit. So there's no reason to do that.
Well, yeah, I think that with it being, like I said, that last Dyna I picked up, I got it cheap, put a lot of good parts on it, and it rode fine.
And it was fun.
But I personally, I say this all the time, I like the 99 through 04 Dynas the best. I like the carbureted feel. But I do enjoy a newer Dyna with the 6 gear and a little bit more of a higher speeds.
What year was that bike that Jetty had that got stolen?
It was 04.
04? Yeah. That was one of my it was a little too light though. Like I loved how that bike felt, and like I guess there was like shit done to the motor.
Somebody's enjoying it up there.
Somebody's enjoying the fuck out of it. But that bike felt really fucking good. Yeah. And I feel like that bike itself, like the 04, was light as fuck, and I like that, but I think it was too light for me because I'm kind of like not the heaviest dude ever.
Yeah. Well, you kind of.
Don't let me lie.
Well, it all boils down to how it's set up too, because like you said with Jace's bike, the Dyna, the blue Dyna, I guess you could call it blue.
The 09 he had.
Yeah. So that bike was set up for him.
That bike was uncomfortable as fuck for me.
So when you get on it,
that preload was not adjusted.
Yeah, no, you're so much lighter than he is, and that's not anything.
Dude, every time I hit a bump on that thing, I would go flying.
Because I mean, it's the way it's set up. Like I can set up that Sport Glide, same thing. You can set it up for a certain person and somebody else get on it, and it's a completely different bike.
Right, dude. It took me a month to get the preload on my personal bike set to like fucking perfect, you know. And I feel like once I got it to where it needed to be, that got rid of a lot of the the handling issues I had before the motor mounts went out. So like I was having the same kind of problems ish, but it was like it was more like you'd be on the highway, you'd hit a bump, and then it'd kind of lose its shit for a second. Yeah. So I think that's all preload shit.
Yeah, it's an interesting conversation though. Like I said, I don't think it's a very, I don't think it's it might be real premature to bring it up, but it just seems like we've noticed a lot of people leaving the Dyna stuff and buying Softails.
No, 100%. I mean, every other dude on fucking Instagram who's like, you know, FXDB, Connor, or, you know, FXD, whatever the fuck your name is, you know, they're all getting the Softails right now. Yeah. And I honestly, I don't want to like, I feel like that I should attest that to Mark though. I feel like Mark's doing a huge fucking, he should be the fucking Softail ambassadors.
Yeah, he's definitely the T-Bar Jesus of our generation. But
because he fucking makes that bike look like that bike can do whatever.
He does what he's supposed to do on the bike, and he fucking runs it in the ground and makes sure it does what, you know, he makes sure that, you know, one thing me and him talk about in private a lot is that like when Mark gives you his opinion about a product, it's really hard.
It's a tested opinion.
It's really there. It's like it's not a paid advertisement, man. Yeah. You know, it's used and worn. You know,
something he beat the shit out of.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why I always trust everything he says about shit.
But you know, the Softails, like I said, it's interesting, especially now. We're only into it a year, basically.
I've never even rode one.
Well, I mean, they have their good things. I mean, we'll get to talking about the Sport Glide in a second, but I think they're good bikes, but I'm more interested to see what the industry does with them, how what kind of aftermarket they create, what kind of options come around. You know, it's like you see Paul Yaffe was making a fairing for Sport Glides, and it looked like a mini road glide fairing.
Yeah.
I mean,
might be cool.
The picture angle he sent looked kind of cool, but I mean, I'm, you know, someone that like is always thinking very deep into everything. Like, I don't see how it's gonna really do much or be anything great, but it might be.
Yeah,
you know,
I feel like the Softails are getting taken over by purpose-built crowds. So if it's not purpose-built and you're trying to do some gimmicky shit, then it's not gonna work.
Well, like that's what I was kind of getting at the beginning of this conversation, is that there's this culture going on that is just like there, but there's no real representation of it other than Instagram chat rooms and fucking repost page.
Instagrinder.
Well, this goes back to I worked in the industry, and so working for Harley Davidson, and so when the Street came out, it was the new thing for younger riders and a new way for them to.
Hold on, I'm sorry.
No, you're good. It was a new way for them to for them to come out and say, hey, this is a bike for a newer generation. We're going to try to, you know, target younger riders, but it just didn't have the power. It was liquid cooled. It wasn't exactly what everybody wanted. And now they're doing these Softails, and they basically, it goes back to that 5-year rule. Yeah. Everything they do has a 5-year mark. So they're basically thinking 5 years ahead. Well, I think what they did was they just skipped 5 years, and the Softail is what should have been when the Street came out. The Softail should have come out.
Yeah.
And I think everybody's hang up, and mine as well, is that they named it the Softail. If they had named it something else, it would have been much more perceived.
It was outrageous whenever it happened.
In the beginning.
When it came out,
exactly.
It was outrageous.
And so now all these guys that Harley was trying to target with the Street, I think we're seeing the performance aspect of the Softail, and we're seeing what it can do and what it's capable of. And
didn't, like, last year or the beginning of this year, didn't they do some Sportster shit too? Like, they put a little bit of fairing on a Sportster, give it a little bit of performance look.
So they came out with
the old paint job, the little blue one.
They came out with
cool.
Some of them, and then they started doing clip-ons for Sportsters, which they'd done in the past, but they do rear sets for Sportsters now. So they're trying to get everybody adapted to this new market that they're, I guess, with that sport bike that they're coming out with, or you know, supposedly there's another bike besides the electric bike that's coming in January, February. So it could be another thing like the Sport Glide. Maybe they're listening. Maybe we're all full of shit, and they're just going to come out with the new V-Rod. Who knows?
They already came out with it.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, if they just kind of made some options, like say for instance the quarter fairing, right?
Yeah.
A fairing that was not necessarily specific to a bike. Like, you didn't buy a Dyna with a quarter fairing on it. It was an option that they sold. why can't they make a fairing or at least another option for some of these other bikes, for these other Softail models? I think would kind of, maybe it doesn't have to be as elaborate as what the T-Sport fairing was, as far as like all the mechanisms to change things, but an actual purposeful fairing that actually does block more wind. Because, a quarter fairing does 10 times more wind blockage
than that Sport Glide
Sport Glide fairing does. That shit was like having, I guess,
Nothing.
I don't remember who said it, but they said it was a bikini fairing.
It's a bikini. It's like a thong.
It looks like a thong, you know?
That's true, yeah. It does.
It's like the headlights probably blocked pretty good. Or
I don't know, man. I think the new Softails look good as fuck. And if you can just fucking slap some handguards on there and a fucking Bassani pipe, just make it Dyna as fuck.
Lord of
It still has the same aesthetics, but it handles better.
Yeah.
And I think that's why it's appealing.
And I think with the motor, is obviously a pretty good platform, and with all the new shit we're finding out with companies with cams and making pretty decent power, I still, like, me and Daniel were talking about this earlier. It's like I'm still a little disappointed that Harley put out a bike that's a 107, a 114, and all these things. And what were these numbers? It was a stock 107
was 78 horsepower.
What?
78 horsepower.
I have more in my 80 fucking
from
Evo,
the factory.
dude.
We're getting a 107 that's.
But also these bikes probably weigh a lot less than.
No, that has nothing to do with
has
that.
nothing to do with it.
Yeah.
It's a Ford. We're talking about a bike that has 8 valves that has the potential for a lot of things, but the way that the head was designed, they're just not making power because the EPA has strangleholded Harley, and so all these aftermarket companies that are, and I said this in the drunk cast we did, they put a stranglehold on how these bikes are made and how they're manufactured, and so they're trying to find other ways that we can't get around. So, like, the aftermarket will say, okay, we'll just put a cam on it. We'll put an exhaust on it. We'll put an air cleaner on it. It'll breathe better. It'll run better. We're just going to scream down the road and get around the EPA.
I guess my question is, then, if the EPA is like regulated, then why is Indian coming out with 126 horsepower bikes? Why did Victory have big bikes?
And that's the point.
Why is a fucking Hellcat and all these other cars coming out with 800 plus horsepower? That's probably inaccurate.
Civilians.
Yeah.
No, that's right.
808.
Yeah.
Like, what's the point? Like, how is it applicable to one thing and not the other?
I think it's just, I don't know.
I mean, dude, if that was on
Harley signed a thing saying that all the heads on their bikes had to always resemble what the Evo looked like.
And that comes
kind
back
of fucking them right now.
And that's exactly the problem. They're restricting the flow out of the motor, I think, is the way. It's either into or out of. I know that one of the valves is twice the size of its opposing valve. So either the intake valve is twice the size of the exhaust valve, or the exhaust valve is twice the size of the intake valve. So what that does is it just bottlenecks all this potential, and the cam designers had to start from scratch. So all these grinds on these cams look nothing like the twin cam. So you're just getting a completely different motor, and it's even different from the Evo. So, like, they went back to an Evo style motor, but not the heads. Yeah.
Well, I think they needed to throw something new to make for the market to want to jump on. So it was a single cam motor, and obviously, when we first heard about the single cam motor, we're like, what, are we going back in time?
Yeah.
But then they throw 4 valves in there, and it's like, oh, well, maybe it's getting better or this or whatever. And
yeah, it's crazy. It's got 4 spark plugs on it.
Yeah, that's weird too.
That tripped me out.
But it does. The motor does perform, I guess. But it just, like I said, that's just like it's like you're getting fucked. You're spending a lot of money on these bikes, man.
Yeah.
A 114,
it's like a half-built motor.
I can't imagine. Like, could you imagine being the dude that spent 100 or 43 grand on a CVO with a 117 that's not even putting in 100 horsepower?
Those other bikes are detuned. Bad.
That's a lot of money to get fucked on.
Yeah. That's a real cheap date on the backside.
But realistically, like I said, that Dyna that I had, that last one, the 88 motor with the fueling cam chest in there.
It was dope.
It just ran. It fucking hauled. I mean, it didn't have the top end to keep up on the road, but as far as it felt like it was way
Torquey
more
as shit.
power than the 114 that I had.
Well, granted, it was everything done to it, but that...
Did you say granite or granted?
Granted.
Okay, just
granted.
trying to clear the
had
air.
everything done to it. He who chews on monster tabs. So
that is I.
having all the head work and having all the work done, you have a bike that had 100 and now I can't remember, 160 plus torque in torque, but you get this false sense with the M8. You get like a
It's got so much torque that you think it's got a lot of power.
You think it's got a lot of power, but it doesn't, because the horsepower numbers are garbage. They're like 78. I think the highest I've seen out of any motor is 85, and I think that's the 114. But the torque numbers are like 106, 107, 119. These are stock motors, so it's like they somehow have the ability to make torque, but no ability to make power.
Yeah,
You're just going nowhere really fast.
Yeah, you're going, but you're not going anywhere once you get
Your
there.
bike is just loud.
Mark and I
You're like a Honda going down the road.
Mark and I talked about this at the camp out. It's like once you get to fifth gear, unless you're going over 70, sixth gear is completely useless, because once you get into sixth, it
dies.
It doesn't have the ability to keep going. That's probably why they govern those bikes. That's another thing.
Dude, 110 for my bike, I can't wait to get that shit taken off.
110 and 120, that's all you can do all day long.
It cuts off, it cuts the power.
For real?
It flutters the throttle plate, so it's not like a car.
It's not like a fuel cutter or anything.
No, it'll just one. It'll stay at one point. You can hold the throttle all the way open, and then if you crack the throttle just a little bit and get back on it, it'll jump and then let back down. So it'll let you get a little bit of throttle.
Just keep going like this.
I thought the same thing, so I tried that, and it doesn't work. And like, I have the torque cam, so I mean, you get a little bit from it, but it's not. A lot of it all comes back to the rider too. So it's.
Well, so there was another question on the deal that we asked. It was Sport Glide and its similarities to a T-Sport, and.
The only real similarity it has is those bags.
Well, I guess you got a bike that came with fairing bags. It's called Sport.
Yeah, that's it. It handles well.
I don't see any like actual legit similarities.
No,
it's a new fucking bike.
Well, and without just spoiling the entire world, there might be a Sport Glide with a T-Sport feel in the future, and it might open eyes. I think that it looks a lot better than that fairing that they put on there.
No matter what, T-Sport fairings always look better, because
you're always going to find something that looks better. No matter how the bike comes out, you're always going to find something better.
You know what I get tired of hearing from everybody is when you talk about T-Sport fairings, the FXRP T fairings, you hear certain people like, well, those weren't popular once. I'm like,
oh Jesus,
so fucking what, dude?
A lot of things weren't popular once.
Yeah,
I used to not be popular.
Porn wasn't popular once, but look at it now.
It's kind of hard to look at, and I get the comment like, hey, we're looking at this Sport Glide fairing and trying to see how it could be cool, but even if it looked the way it looked, but it actually did something, then I could probably be like, all right, this has a purpose, but it doesn't. It's just a shroud for a headlight.
And it goes back to the quarter fairing conversation. The quarter fairing was not designed for a Dyna. The mounts don't work. You had to basically manipulate it so that it worked for the application that you were using it for. This Sport Glide fairing will not work on any other bike other than the Sport Glide, because the mounts are all integrated, and it makes it so that you can't use it with anything else. So even if it was useful, now we're stuck with a bike or a fairing that only works on one bike unless you change the front end.
Well, I think that the Sport Glide itself, it came with a lot of it really honey-dicked you into thinking it was a sport bike or a sportier version of the Softail line. But I mean, obviously, one of the first things that I've noticed, and I've been very vocal about throughout this entire podcast, or all the podcasts, is that it came with forward control. So it completely has a really awkward riding position. It has low bars, forward controls, single front disc, which I'm not necessarily opposed to. I'm a single disc fan. But in general, like you would expect a bike that was sporty to have dual brakes. It has a front end that's technically pretty nice, I guess, for Harley standards. But you're stuck with the forward control thing with no real easy interchangeable to go to a mid control.
Absolutely not.
And that was probably my biggest downfall with all this new Softail line, is that there's no easily changeable to mid controls. Who in Harley just decided that mid controls were a thing of the past, and it's forward controls or die now,
and that's where the Dyna was nice, because even if you bought a bike that had forward controls, the frames were all the same. They all had the same mounts. You could just buy the mounts for the controls and switch it over, and the only thing that was different was the hole in the primary. And it wasn't it didn't cost you an arm and a leg to change it. Now, the cheapest kit out there for a Softail is $2,000. And that's outrageous. Who's got 16 grand to spend on a bike? That's starting out. That's not including all your other bullshit fees, but then you're spending $2,000 on a kit to basically make it the way it should have. You should have had that option from the factory.
Have you ridden any forward control bikes?
Just the Sportster whenever I first got it last year.
It did have forward controls on it.
That's what that feels
That was
like.
absolutely garbage.
I
feel like I'm too short for that shit too, because I feel like I'm like trying to hit the brake. I'm like, fuck,
well,
you know.
so the Sportster has the body is so much shorter. Like from tip to tip is shorter, not longer. So when you have forward controls on a Sportster,
joke?
yeah, tip to tip.
Finally.
You're welcome, Marcus.
Teleport.
So when you think about a Sportster's forward controls, that's more like this Softail's forward controls. That's how that feels. It's not like way out in front of you. They're not gaudy like the Dynas were. So the frame is shorter, so you're not getting that sense that you're sitting with your feet out in front of you.
I felt like I was sitting with my feet out in front of me.
The Softail?
No, on the Sportster.
Yeah. Well,
I'm shorter though. I'm like 5'8", 5'7".
yeah.
Well, I mean, like I said, we're working on that bike here in the shop now. That the Sport Glide. We're trying to do our best to make it something that our buddy can run across country with, haul ass on, be comfortable, be able to travel on it. Like realistically, what a Sport Glide or T Sport or whatever you want to like reference it to should have been. And fortunately, we were able to. What's that fairing? Those Crater fairings? Those
Crater is the company that
the T Sport knockoff fairings that
it's
are
a
like
Canadian company.
They're like
Crater or Kratom?
Crater.
Kratom is the
the drug.
yeah.
What should we call it?
But no, it's like a fairing that realistically is you can get relatively cheap, anywhere from $100 to $300.
Dude, if I can find one for $100, I'm buying it.
It all day online.
Yeah. So
James paid $101.
The reason it works out well is because the top mount is basically a mount that goes underneath the handlebar risers, right? So that's clamped there. And on this T Sport, all we're really having to do is like kind of drill or make a small bracket for the bottom. I mean, Sport Glide, sorry. Make a small bracket and then switch over to a smaller headlight to the, what was it, 5 1/4?
5 3/4.
5 3/4 headlight.
Like the stock Dyna size?
Yeah,
Yes.
that way it'll fit inside the them. So it's not an expensive swap to get a fairing. I mean, look, you could probably get
if you can find like that comes with the brackets and everything.
everything,
For,
windshield,
like, around
brackets,
$100.
and it's adjustable.
Yeah, it's the entire thing, and it has an
Fuck,
adjustable screen. So
I don't think it's always going to be $100. I wouldn't like hold it, but
Yeah.
as far as like fitting that to this bike, it's definitely gave companies like JD and Connolly's a run for their money when you can't even get Connolly brackets like the little
For
clamp.
fucking $100.
For $100.
Yeah.
We definitely it was an accident. Jace kind of had the idea. He's like, let's just throw this on here and see what it looks like. And we all kind of stepped back and looked at it. We're like, damn, that actually looks really good. And the pictures that he took, and we kind of all looked at it, and it definitely is how it should have come from the factory. Like the only downside is that we have to change the headlight.
Yeah, I mean that's the only hard part. Like I said, the fairing just has a much more flow, and like we didn't get to see it with the bags on the bike, but it just flows better. It just has more of a like a purposefulness to it. I just put two things on the end of it.
Yeah,
So fucking dumb.
cool.
Jeez.
But yeah, I mean, I think the Sport Glide's a good bike, but I would also argue that maybe it makes more sense to buy a lowrider and then buy the bags off the Sport Glide and put them on there.
That's another $3,000 right there.
Yeah, the
To buy
bags are
those bags is
$1,500 a piece, right?
$1,500 a piece.
Ronnie'sMicrofitch.com, man. Hook yourself up.
No, you're still paying Harley prices. It's $3,000 to buy those bags.
Yeah.
Because
Well-
Mark priced them out, and he said that it was like $2,500 or $3,000.
Isn't one bigger than the other though?
Yes, one bag. I noticed this when we were going to the camp out the first time.
It's like one nut smaller than the other one.
and literally
you know?
the exhaust side is about 3 inches shorter than the non-exhaust side.
Yeah. So when you take that long ass exhaust off and put something else under there,
You're gonna be like, wow,
it's gonna it
Wow.
might have
wow,
a definite dip, like looking at it from the rear.
definitely.
Welcome back, Jesse.
Yeah.
Oh man,
Daniel's
But-
podcast 0-3.
But no, the like I said, I think the lowrider is a better bike to buy and work off of as far as the platform.
Yeah.
Because of the mid control situation, because of also the front end, like the Sport Glide and the Fat Bobs have the inverted front end, but that kind of makes it harder to kind of just do simple added additions like, gold emulators and, Race Tech front suspension or something like that. When you have an inverted style front end, no one really makes shit to kind of beef those up.
The only person you can get that from is Legends. Right now, the only company that's making anything for that front end is Legends. And
has Legends even made a rear shock for this bike yet?
It's air shock. It's the only thing they have right now. But they say that it performs. The unknown guys are saying it performs just as well as the standard shock. But paid to say, you never know. Yeah. You don't know who's saying something because they mean it, or who's saying something because even the badass shocks that are out there, the guys that are used to Dynas that are used to these stiff ass shocks that perform, now the ones on these Softails are soft as hell and they perform great, but it looks like it's crazy. Riding behind Mark, he's got a great shock on that Softail and it jumps everywhere, but it performs so well. And he said, I don't feel it. I don't feel the crazy like wobble back and forth like you would with a Dyna, but that thing dances everywhere.
Yeah.
But it just performs.
Well, I think that what people really want to do is they want to, there's so many options. Like I said, I'm a huge fan of the Fat Bob. I think it looks really good. I'm not a fan of the forward controls.
That's the only thing I don't like.
And not a fan of the fat front wheel. I know that it still handles well. It still does what it's supposed to do. But, the way it looks to me is just not pleasing.
Right.
It's almost like you want what Rusty Butcher did. You want his setup where you put an inverted front end, normal size wheels, and mid-controlled it out. Now he's got a fucking full FXRT fairing and lowers on it.
Yeah.
Motherfucker is sick looking.
Yeah.
I tried to talk Amanda into doing that. She's let me go the T-Sport route. So that bike, the headlight is coming off. It's getting we're doing the exact same thing to that we're doing to the Sport Glide.
Yeah.
So
it's like, I think a lot of people that may be interested in buying one of these Softails, they really don't know which one to buy and which are the obstacles that people need to know to avoid. And if someone like me that would never want, I never want to have forward controls, that would be, if I bought that bike, that would be the thing that before I left the dealership, like, hey, I'm not buying this bike with forward controls.
Figure out how to get rid of them. Yep.
And they need to make something from Harley. I like Harley shit, man. I don't want all my shit to be billed aftermarket shit that costed me $2,000.
Right.
I'd rather it be something, I don't know, whatever.
Well, and even so, getting back to the Rusty Butcher thing, he even talked to them and said, hey, this is what I want. Like, he went back and said, can you guys put mid controls on this bike? And that's how everybody knew that it could happen. It's possible, but through Harley, it is very expensive. And right now it's still outside of the realm of being, it goes back to the CVO conversation. You could finance your mid controls into a Fat Bob or a Sport Glide or anything that comes with forward controls, but you're tacking on another $1,000 to $1,500 in parts that it would take to make that bike that way. When if they offered it, someone might put more money into it because now it's a bike that's more attractive. One, because the forward controls to me don't look good. They might be appealing to some people, but I'm like Jace. I like mid controls. Yeah. I'm putting mid controls on my bagger. I don't like forward controls. I don't know. I'm that kind of person, but different strokes for different folks.
Jesse, what do you think about like the FXDR when that came out? That's that big monster.
I know what that is, dude. I think that is probably, I don't want to talk shit because I saw on Instagram last night, I think there was a couple of people like ripping up the fucking like desert on it, and I don't know who the fuck posted that, but I think it's the ugliest fucking piece of shit I've ever seen in my life.
This has been said a million times, it's played out, but it's a breakout and a V-Rod had a baby. But we sat on one at Green.
I've never been on one. I've never rode one. So, I mean, it might be the best fucking amazing thing in the world.
It could be the most amazing bike in the world.
But it is the ugliest shit I've ever seen.
It is the ugliest bike I've ever seen in my life. And that I've seen a lot, like the Honda Rune.
Dude.
I've seen some ugly bikes.
That's a big bike.
But that new bike, I don't know. If they come out with something else, like an S model or a special model or something like that, and that's that February release, I might hand my keys to somebody else.
I don't think that the only way to make that bike cooler is to
make that rear wheel smaller.
No, it's impossible.
There's people talking about the intake. Yeah. There's people talking about how big the exhaust is, which isn't really, like Harley can't really do much about that just because of. But
what if you had
emissions?
What if you had that tail section, right? That tail section they made that has some cool lines. Mm-hmm. If it wasn't like pro street looking, like low as fuck.
Yes.
Maybe if it had a higher suspension, a narrow, like a 180 rear tire, a cool swing arm like that. So I think the swing arm's cool, that big bulky
I
thing.
think it's kind of cool.
And then, just made it to where it was more higher in the rear end, to where it almost had more of a tracker look. And then just put a set of bars on it that weren't clip-ons, for one.
Yeah.
And maybe make the rear wheel match the front. I don't know. Maybe that's...
Yeah, that bugged the
what's
shit
up
out of
with
me.
that?
Oh, that was one thing, though. The rear wheel was dope as fuck, though. I remember. Was it the rear wheel that looked cool as shit?
It's solid. It's just
No,
a
the-
block.
No. It was the front wheel. Yeah, the front wheel looks
Yeah,
dope
the front
as
wheel looks
fuck.
good, yeah.
Because we looked at it, looks unfinished. It looks like they took and had a lot of different ideas, and all those ideas just got jumbled into one
Frankenstein.
bike.
It's like
Yeah.
that customer that just couldn't quite afford the whole build, so you had to stop at the front wheel.
Or the bagger guys that had a solid wheel in the rear, but this nice ass, which, complete disclosure, I had no idea how much big wheels were until like a month and a half ago, and I'm sitting here talking to Jason. What the hell are you talking about? You spent $6,000 on a front wheel. Mm-hmm. But back to the
Well, that's what I was saying. That
Yeah.
not to go too far off this conversation, but a buddy of mine, that he kind of is working his way into the performance scene.
Right.
And this is a dude that's been building 30 bikes and jumping stupid money in his bikes. And I was like, dude, you doing Olin's on it? Because he can afford it.
Oh yeah, we had this conversation.
And he was like, nah, man, I can't afford to spend $7,000 on front suspension. I'm like, motherfucker, you put that in a wheel.
That's where I learned how much these wheels are.
Well, they used to be. I mean, you can get them cheaper now, but
Still.
a 32-inch or a 30-inch or 32 like name brand company wheel, it's a $5,000 to $6,000 to $7,000 purchase depending on the company.
Can't believe that.
Then you got a rotor, then you got a net kit, and you got. I mean, we'd always tell people 30-inch wheel. If you wanted to do one, you're looking at a minimum of $10,000 just for the front end setup
Yeah,
on the
you
bike,
gotta-
welded, installed, painted neck, $30,000. I mean, $10,000.
You gotta change the fender. You gotta do
Okay,
all that
talking to
shit.
Mike, dude. You know how this works.
You gotta change the fender and all that shit. I was just saying.
Yeah, it's a lot of stuff, but I mean, it's strange how, I guess what kind of tangenting off that other conversation. It's strange to me how certain things that are aesthetically visual is financial. Like people will justify it financially, but you
Yeah.
look at something like the shit that MJK makes, and people are like, oh, I can't spend that kind of money on this, that, and the other. And I'm like, well, it all serves more of a purpose, though.
Absolutely. Everything and that goes back to some people like it if it looks good. Some people like it if it performs good. Some people want both. Some people only want, what they can spend bottom dollar on. And
Yeah.
back to the FXDR, is that what
Yeah.
they're calling it? That thing, it goes back to, they put an aluminum swing arm on that thing. That's one of the first times that we've seen that.
Yeah.
I think I've ever seen that in a Harley. And why did they put such a big tire on it? I don't know. But that swing arm essentially is what could have been used on other
Yeah.
Softails to make them badass. And now, if you were to use that thing, you'd have to get 4 inches of spacers.
So I guess
4 inches.
yeah, Jesse's definitely got 4 inches.
Hey-o.
But yeah, so I guess the Sport Glide is realistically, in my opinion, it's probably not the most. If you really want to take these bikes and make them, usable, the lowrider, in my opinion, the lowrider is the best bet, and you can easily, for the amount of money you would spend extra to get a Sport Glide, you could do a set of Conleys or Leather Pros,
Absolutely.
or something like that in the rear, and a crater fairing, or
Yeah.
even a quarter. I've been seeing quarter fairings on these bikes a lot that look really good
Yeah, they
too.
look
So
good.
you can go the lowrider route and spend less money, still have the same motor platform, so you're not losing anything different. Like, you still got all that shit.
Yep.
And if you're like me, you probably can't even ride as good as the
Some of
front
that stuff.
suspension comes with, so you're going to be fine with that. But we need to move on to another question here. So which one should we do? Wildest experiences from the road. What's yours, Jesse?
Riding through this world.
Wobble through this world.
Wobble through this world. I don't know, man. Like while traveling or after you've reached your destination?
Well, I guess
A multitude of...
whatever. I mean, I guess it's all kind of there. I mean,
All
like,
just
what's a
kinda
wild deal? What was
blurred
it like?
lines.
What was it like whenever the bike got stolen in Indianapolis and you had to ride home from that shit? Did we ever talk about that?
Not really. We kind of dabbled in it.
Because you kind of got dropped off in the middle of nowhere and said, "Hey, it's time to be a man."
Figure it out.
I equated it while it was happening in my life to when a young guy gets dropped into a forest from his tribe. Like they fucking like back in the day they'd fucking like blindfold people in the tribe and then drop them off and like if you make it back to camp you're a man.
Yeah,
that's what it felt like.
Your walkabout.
Except you had Google Maps.
Except I had Google Maps and I stopped,
and gas and a motor.
Yeah, dude, it was nice. I don't know, man. It was eerie in a way. Like, fuck, like I gotta do all this shit like alone. Like
You know what I think is a good question though. Like a spin off of that. Like what is it now? Like, we all have our group, like our little Anvil kind of. I hate to say club, but our Anvil social club.
Okay, there you go.
Our social. That's what we're gonna call it, a social.
But you of course since you've been riding, you've made kind of like your own friends, like with Saxon and these other guys. So what's it like, kind of having your own little posse of homies? As a younger guy, like those are your boys that you brought into the fold instead of like you being friends with all my people.
Yeah.
Like y'all have y'all's own little.
It's all very like we have our own inside jokes and everything.
Yeah, exactly.
We're our own tribe, part of this community.
Mm-hmm.
But I think honestly, it all just happens very naturally, and like you don't realize it's happening until after it's already said and done. Like I feel like going on that trip and then coming back, like a lot of my perspective on how I was handling shit in life got a little bit changed. Like in some weird way, I feel like it made me better.
Mm-hmm.
Like it put confidence in myself that I didn't have before, and then that also turned into confidence in my riding, and then I was more willing to go out and ride and willing to go out and do shit. So I started doing shit, and I started I got out of my house, I got out of the fucking slump or whatever the fuck, and I was out there, and that's how I met them. And then I met them through riding, which I had already known of them before. Like they had lived in my area, and
sometimes you got to be like that constant spark that gets people up off their ass, because
that's
I mean,
what
like
happened
it's easy to know a lot of people that ride and like we're all cool and you have like there's the world, but you almost got to be that one that's constantly like, hey, what are we doing today, guys?
That's kind of how it happened. Was after I got back on that trip, like I said, I was willing to go and do more rides than I wanted to. I wanted to go do cooler shit and et cetera, et cetera. And they were kind of where I was at before I was on the trip, where they were still kind of like on the fence about doing shit and going out because they weren't sure about the people they were going to be hanging out with, et cetera, et cetera. And then I started riding with Sean, and then at the same time Saxon had just bought that Sportster.
Mm-hmm.
So he had, that's all he had. He's like me, he's only got his bike. And Saxon and Sean were already friends, like they were tight as fuck before then. So then I just gave them like things to do on their bike, purposes, you know what I mean? And I think that's how we three grew as like a group, was just experiencing that, I guess. I mean that's kind of it. For a lot of things, like you kind of somebody in the group of people that ride bikes like has to be the one that's constantly like somebody's got to be
figuring out opportunities. Like they got to be that, or they got to be the party planner or the event coordinator, things like that, because we all have those friends that are like, hey man, I'm let me know what's going on. Like,
well, they sit around waiting to be activated.
They're waiting waiting to be activated.
Sleeper soldiers.
Anvillate, engage.
Assemble.
That's just that's some people's personalities, man. And I'm very self-motivated, and I think that I'm also kind of selfish too. So I'm gonna always do whatever the fuck I want to do, regardless of whether somebody's gonna be there or not. But people see that I'm doing shit, and they want to go do it too. Mm-hmm. And that's how I make my friends. And then
all two of them.
Yeah. Hey man, I've only had 3 at a time, so
any more than 3 is hard to manage.
That ain't no shit.
But wildest experiences though from the road. I mean, I guess
I think like wild, like party wise, it'd have to be all the shit that happened in Sturgis, which I talked about that before. But I mean,
it's whatever you're into, right?
I was on TV. I was way fucked up. I was fat. Life was just not going well for me. That was I don't know, man. That was the first trip I ever did like that, and I feel like I'm never gonna get that high again. And I regret the fuck out of not appreciating it whenever it was happening.
No, those things will definitely happen again. You can't. It's like putting the pussy on the pedestal, right?
It's exactly what it was. Yeah.
You can't like put every trip on some pedestal that it has to live up to,
and then hope to surpass it.
Yeah, you have to let every trip be whatever it's gonna be.
I'm just saying that it was the best, just because of the fact that it was new. So it was like I was just pop my cherry, man. It's always You're never gonna get that first time. It's just like a drug, dude. You
Yeah.
know, I did it once.
Well, even when we went, like, you were still super sketchy about riding around corners and shit.
I was
and next thing you know,
fucking
like,
scared, dude.
by the time a couple days there, like, you were hauling ass trying to keep up with us, like going back and forth to Deadwood, and that's pretty nice fast corners.
Well, the biggest issue there was the fact that I wasn't comfortable on that bike, but also the fact I definitely was not confident in my riding abilities. Because, like, I mean, I'm not a confident person in general. You know, I'm not very egotistical. It takes me a lot of times of me successfully doing something before I can confidently be like, yeah, I'm not gonna die right now.
Yeah.
You know, like,
and then you die.
Yeah. So I think now, like, most of that trip got ruined because of the fact that I was scared that I was gonna fuck up, that I was gonna fuck that bike up, or I was
trying to get
wreck.
you to. We were in fucking, what was it, Colorado City? I was like, dude, there's Pike Peak right there. It's right up there. You got, fuck that.
Yeah, dude. And that was the thing, man. I had no confidence, man.
Yeah.
I was scared. You know, in my head, he said, let's ride up to Pikes Peak, and I remember very vividly. I was like, dude, what if we fucking stop on a hill and I fucking can't stop, or I drop the bike or something? Like, you know, just dumb shit that you overthink in your head because you don't have confidence in what's going on. Which now, like, if I was to go on a trip like that now, dude, it'd be tenfold. I'd be way fucking better because, you know, I'm not worried about this shit because I've done it.
Yeah.
You know, I've gone through it. I've been in those situations, you know. And I think that's the problem with anxiety is, like, unless you put yourself in that situation and either fuck up or do it, you're never going to get over it.
Yeah.
So you just have to fucking nut up or shut up, you know?
What about you, Daniel?
Wildest trip.
Mm-hmm.
Wildest
Talking to Mike, Daniel.
Wildest experience on a trip. I don't know. I don't really get wild per se.
He's lying right now, guys.
No, there's no lie. I mean...
Well, I mean, a wild experience could be like Rot Rally when we were partying or something.
That was definitely the wildest experience on accident. I went down there with a completely different person.
Yeah.
And came out after a unnecessary surprise, and literally Jace was just sitting there and he's like, "What are you doing?" I was like, "Actually, I came with some dudes that I'm not going to hang out with." He's like, "Hey, dude, we're partying. Come on."
Yeah?
And so literally, like, we knew each other in passing, but that was definitely like the time that you and I kind of actually became friends, and I met Mark and all that good stuff. So
yeah, and that's where it all went downhill.
But yeah, it's all been downhill from there. Now I'm nursing a habit. You know, and being on both sides of the fence, I did have the times that I'd get, you know, not blackout, but I'd go drink and have fun and stuff, and I thought that, like, this is definitely a good advocation for that. So I had my moments where I would go and drink and have fun and I get completely annihilated, and now I have the moments where I don't drink at all. Like, the first time I drank in over a month was the Halloween party we had.
Halloween party, yeah.
And I went way too fast, way too quick, if that makes sense at all. Way too hard, too quick.
That sounds like my first time.
I paid for it for a couple of days afterwards.
Yeah.
But
couple of days?
Dude, I was fucked up the next day.
Dude, is that recovery after 30?
Dude, after 30, recovery is multiplied by at least 2. So that next day,
every 5 years you add 2.
I should just go ahead and get all my alcoholism out now.
Let's say that's my wildest time, because I did the sober October, right?
I did half of that.
So I did all of October. Well, comes down to, that was after October. So it was the first week of November is when we had our Halloween party. Mm-hmm. So we get there and I'm like, fuck it, I'm going to drink. So I started drinking. Well, I started drinking like I used to and just kept drinking. Yeah. And there was a fridge full of beer. And when I got done drinking, there was no beer in the fridge. I don't know how much was in there. I don't know how much I drank, but I know I drank a lot. And I ended up not eating breakfast the next day, which is very uncharacteristic of me. I literally sat at the table miserable. And that's life after 30.
Dude.
Welcome.
Well, you know, the thing about, like, going back to, like, Rot Rally is I know we've had to talk about this on this podcast before, and I know we talked about it a lot on the Drunk Cast that we did that never got released.
Probably.
But basically, the Rot Rally was such a fun time.
Oh, yeah.
Because it wasn't it's just like everything that we need to associate everything with. Mm-hmm. I didn't go to Rot Rally expecting it to be Born Free. I didn't go to Born Free expecting it to be Rot Rally. So it's its own thing. It's definitely a shit show. It's definitely not like
A tit show?
It's a motorcycle. it's 100% a motorcycle event, but it's not really geared towards riding places. You know,
absolutely not. We went and we were there, and that was it. Like, we hung out in front of the Krispy Kreme truck and literally just made fun of people, and not necessarily the whole time, but we definitely just sat there all night. And
but I mean, that was a good fucking time, though.
We definitely had fun. And then the next day, we all paid for it.
And did it again.
And then we did it again.
Yeah, because you guys are fucking adults.
But I mean, we had fun. That was definitely the starting point for a lot of things.
Dude, I've been drinking heavy as fuck lately, and I've realized that like you legit start getting cravings for it.
All right,
and that's not cool.
That's kind of the thing. Like for me too, man. Like you know. It's like you need it to loosen up, but then like there's this window of opportunity where everything is clear, and then you get through the red zone, right?
See, mine's the biz drinking. Like I can drink one beer and then I'm like, fuck it, I need another, and then I need another, and then I need another, and I don't stop. And it's not because of like, okay, I'm lying. I want to get drunk. So when I start drinking, I want to get drunk. And that's what the problem is.
I don't really like to get drunk. I like the social aspect of it.
Social drink.
Yeah, I like the social drink. And I mean, think about it, man. Like, my life is very social.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, we have our bike night on Tuesdays. Yep. Somehow that feels like every night.
It does. Yeah. Yeah, but
I mean, I don't drink like a lot, but I like to have a beer at home every once in a while. But I'm trying to stop. Like, me and my wife will go out to drink or eat, and then we'll have a beer, and then I'll get a nice little buzz. I'm like, let's get a 12-pack on the way home. And then I'll go home and I'll kill that 12-pack. So I'm trying to stop that.
Yeah, you're trying to stop the binging, which is what, like, I used to not do that whenever I first started. Like the beginning of this year, I didn't binge drink. I'd get a buzz and I'd stop. And now I get a buzz and I'm like, I wonder how much more drunk I can get before shit gets fucking weird, you know?
See, I went 5 years without drinking. So 5 years of no drinking at all. I just didn't have a need or a want to, really. And then when I said I was going to do the Sober October thing, I was like, you know, I go to bike night, I drink Shirley Temples. I'm not afraid to say that. Like, I'm completely okay with saying that I don't drink.
Yeah.
But, you know, even at the camp out, I got to a certain point.
I feel like most of our friends actually don't drink.
Yeah, we don't. It's not that we don't drink. It's just you don't drink as much. So it's like you get that handful of people like myself, and there's a couple others that don't drink a whole lot. So when we do, it's like, it's social, so it looks like a lot.
Me and Jace probably drink more than anybody else in this group, to be totally honest.
Actually, like
who else drinks heavy? Because not Trent, not Kyle. Do you know who drinks the heaviest?
James.
Sean drinks the heaviest.
Well, he's a beer brewer.
He brews fucking beer, dude.
Is that how you do it?
Yeah, that's
he's
how
a
you
brewer.
say it, isn't it?
Yeah.
Beer brewer.
But I feel like he probably drinks more than
a brewer?
most of us.
Barista?
Barista?
That would be coffee. That would be coffee.
Barista? No, but I mean, dude, like, all my favorite stories, bike related, have beer involved, and so it's. I guess you get to that point where you find out like one of your friends that's coming that does drink and does parties not drinking. You're like, oh shit, this gonna suck.
Yeah,
that one guy's not gonna be there on our level.
I feel like I try to stop and remind myself that I've had good times before without alcohol. But then I start thinking about it. I'm like, dude, but the times with alcohol though.
That's what birthed the Drop Glide.
Yeah,
was alcohol.
The Drop Glide,
dude, because you start fucking shit up. Oh, and that's what makes a story, or you fuck something up, or you know,
for me though, like say for instance, like the last podcast we did I was kind of talking about it with you the other day.
Yeah,
it was like me and Chad Mahone were sitting here and we were drinking beer, and we were kind of both, you know, kind of like, what do you call it? We're just kind of like talking about the kind of shit we deal with customers, and like we're both smiling and laughing, and I'm like, you know, you come in here, you want some flames? Fuck off, faggot. That's not what you know what I mean? Like, it wasn't so much that it was a seriousness to like that's how it is, but it was joking and it was drinking. And the problem, you know, same thing I was talking about this weekend in Nitty Gritty. It's like, since starting a podcast, and even though I know I was the same
drunk way, like most of the podcast.
You know, like even before we started doing this podcast, I would still get drunk and we would have these long, drawn out conversations and stuff, which I think they're important to have. Yeah. But the problem is that you get even amplified now. You know, I still have to remind myself, hey, listen, like, stop talking. Yeah. Let them talk. Let them show that. Stop forcing your vision on everything so much. It's a constant struggle with me, and every once in a while, like, I'll catch on. I'm like, okay, I'm being this way. I need to listen to what they're saying. I need to stop shoving my thoughts down everybody's throat. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
it gets kind of it does suck because you kind of feel like something that they don't, and then you're like, hey, no, this is how it is, and then you're force feeding people shit that they might not have asked for, and sometimes for me that sucks. But
and you feel like alcohol makes it worse?
Oh, 100%, because I'm not conscious of like what I'm saying as far as of course if someone that like was an alcoholic addiction counselor would probably listen like, oh, they're all alcoholics.
Yeah, 100%. No, I totally feel like I'm starting to develop a problem.
Yeah.
Because once it starts affecting your life in a negative way. Well,
I did stop drinking for 10 days, so that's a big fucking good
Dude,
thing.
I'm 2 days in right now, and like just this conversation is giving me a fucking like alcohol boner. Like I want to go buy some IPAs, go home, get drunk, and then make music. Like
That's your conversation right there, right? So it's like you make the music or you be creative.
Yeah.
Well, I feel the same way. Like I like to have a beer whenever I'm sketching helmet.
But here's how I know the problem is last year I didn't like drinking when I made music because I was like, oh man, I feel all distracted and shit. And now I drink and then I'm like, this is kind of cool, And then you wake up the next day and you're like, man, some of this is really trash. Like,
it goes back to doing it with somebody and doing it by yourself.
And that's the issue is like, it started with me doing it with people, but then when I started getting home and I'd be like, I'll just have a beer or two, and then that beer or two turns into a 12-pack, that's when you have a problem.
Oh,
because you're now binge drinking.
Well, see, that's what I'm trying to do for myself. I'm trying to drink, but I'm trying to stop. I'm trying not to kill a 12-pack.
Yeah.
So I'm taking baby steps. So I'm just going to kill half the 12-pack.
Yeah, you got to, man.
Yourself.
So it's like when I go home and I'm a sketch, like I like to have a beer because, like you just said, it doles out all those other senses going on, so you're able to kind of concentrate more. But like I said before, there's that window. There's a window there. Everything works.
If you're not there, man, you get a little too far and you miss it, and then it's a shit show.
Yeah. So I mean, when it comes back to the question,
we're talking about our alcoholism.
Oh,
it's cool. Our mom's an alcoholic too, so that's why I'm always worried about it, man. I'm very paranoid. I don't want to fall into that.
Well, man, life is stressful, man, and sometimes I think when I was younger, when I didn't drink before, my 30s, things were still stressful, but I had things I did that kind of took my mind off of it. So remember we used to play golf all the time. Like when I'm playing golf, or I haven't played in 10 years, but when I was concerned about hitting a ball straight and keeping my score down. That's all I thought about. I wasn't out there thinking about, fuck, when this is over, I got to deal with this shit. Like it was able to separate myself from all the shit going on.
Yeah, so you're kind of able to turn off all the bullshit.
And then video games do the same thing, and getting lost in the movies and things like that all do that.
Yeah.
But now I don't have time to play golf. That's a fucking 6, 7, 8 hour game. That's an expensive hobby. So, and then plus I found a real happiness of like I've said many times on this podcast, I enjoy being around my homies in the bike scene. So that's like my fun hobby now is to go hang out with all the homies and ride bikes and drink beer and have a good time.
Yeah, so and I'm still trying to recollect when I decided that drinking beer made everything more fun. But I just know you get drunk and then shit just starts going wrong, and that's the fun part.
Well, it helps you open up.
I'm open. Like I don't need problems being opened up. Dude, I'm worse. When I drink, I get worse. I turn into an asshole. I kind of get very sensitive and shit, and I can't control.
No way.
Yeah, dude. No. Like when I get too drunk, man, I start getting sensitive, and then I start talking shit, and I get really self deprecated.
Yeah.
How do you say that?
Well, I guess the reason, kind of back to that question though, the experiences that I think have always been fun are either, like just to give someone a quick one from mine, it's either like the experiences of like when me and Brad were riding across country and both our air ride shit's fucked up.
That's fucking dope.
And we're 400, 500 miles away from Vegas and we're trying to get there.
That's a crazy feeling.
And, teeing off the air ride to one shock and running through, all the way to get there and then making it to have a beer right before last call, which I know Vegas, they're drinking all night, but we were trying to get to the Twin Peaks. Mm-hmm. That was a wild experience. That was fucking something that I'm talking about now, and it's important in my life. It sucked 100%.
Yeah.
The not sure if you're going to make it. We have a fucking room at Bellagio that costed a lot of money, and we're there to party, you know what I mean? And here we are, it's fucking 11:30 at night, and we haven't even hit it to Kingsman yet on fucking 40.
Damn.
So it's like, It was a very sketchy thing, but we made it, and it all worked out, and that was the baddest experience.
Isn't it funny how that works? So like bad experiences, you always like your brain is wired to look back and see the good in it.
That is the best experience though, because if you have
it's just like shitty relationships.
You have a bad experience and you get through it and you get past that point. That's like the best stories. The best stories always start
100%.
with shit. This happened.
Yeah.
Or why? How the fuck did that happen? Not, we were walking down the road one day and everything was going great.
Well, back to the Big Wheel Bagger days. So Sturgis, the second year we ever went.
Is this your story?
Yeah.
Another crazy one?
Our whole bike club went. We had that big ass house. It was like 14 or 15 of us in this house. And so we were all at the fucking Knuckle, right? And we're all out there, and my buddy Daryl from Daryl's Custom Cycles was there on his Panicking or whatever. He had his big ass Hertz sound system in there. And the Whip and Nene song was popular, right?
Now watch me whip.
Thanks for the play-by-play.
So
letting you guys know,
we're fucking drunk, bro. Drunk.
No way, you?
Drunk. And this is back in the day before I got my DWI. So
you were like a novice drinker.
I didn't realize that you can get in trouble for doing this shit. So we're out there in front of the Knuckle. My fucking wife has her shirt off. She's got Fast Life Garage, pasties on, basically.
Stickers on her tits.
And we're just fucking dancing, being the most belligerent white people that ever existed on a Big Wheel Bagger. So I talk shit about those.
What you used to talk shit about.
I talk shit about those people because I was there once.
Yeah, you're allowed.
Get your life together, bro.
And to make matters worse, we're all fucking hammered, right? We're staying in Hill City, so that's over there. We're on downtown Sturgis. We're staying in Hill City, and I'm at this point now where I'm one eye riding, right? So there's an industry party over in Spearfish, which is 30 miles the opposite direction of where we're staying. So Daryl's like, "Hey, dude, you going to this party or what?" So I'm like, "Fuck yeah, man! Whatever." So we get on the bike, and he's a big power dude, horsepower shit. My baggers could hold its own. So we get on the highway and we just fucking run these motherfuckers full blast, no helmets, one eye looking. Got my wife on the back. And we're like blazing down the highway like there's no such thing as cops.
I'm sure she's on the back like, fuck me, right?
She was drunk too. She was like, woo!
All right.
So just like riding like nothing, like there's nothing out there that can stop us, right? So we get to the Maverick place. It's Maverick Publishing. It was like the industry party for like the magazine stuff. And we're all hanging out there, and they didn't have my beer. And I know I'm fucked up when I start drinking like Bud Light and shit. So I'm like, fuck it, it's beer. And that's when I know I need to stop. So I took like 2 sips. I was like, okay, I'm too fucked up.
Yeah.
And I looked at my wife and said, dude, we got to go right now.
Dude.
We have to
Before
leave.
these other 4 beers hit me.
Yeah. So we got back on the highway, and like a dumbass again, fucking passing cars, like no cops ever sit on the side of the highway.
Especially in Sturgis, right?
In Sturgis, yeah, where there's cops every fucking
where
way.
they live for that
and
shit.
literally they won't fuck with you unless you're riding without glasses or you're riding like I was, right? But some miraculous conception type situation took place where I made it all the way back to our fucking our cabin or whatever the fuck you called it.
Yeah.
It was 70 miles to get back to the cabin because we had to do 30 miles to get to actually no, it was 80 miles. It was 30 miles back to Sturgis, another 30 miles to Rapid City, and then you hit the road to go back into the fucking hills where Hill City was, and that was like 20 miles. So it was like, what does that equal? 80 miles, right? And I made it, and I was, thinking nothing of it. Like that, to me, when I got my DWI, I was like, what the fuck? Why couldn't I get, like, that would have been a cooler story than like, oh, I was driving straight and my car lost control and there was a cop behind me.
Waxahachie.
Or all those times, you know what I mean? So, and then the same thing, like the first year we went to Sturgis, on the California ride, when we got took by that hooker that was trying to steal all my shit.
Yeah.
I mean, there's just a lot of great stories that happen on the road, and this is only like, but the crazy thing is, I really only started traveling on bikes when I turned 30, and here I am 36, and you don't ever hear me talk about anything before 30 because I didn't do nothing cool or memorable.
Right.
I didn't put anything on.
Maybe you're just getting old and you forgot.
No, there's just nothing. It wasn't. Yeah, there was cool stories going on, but there wasn't nothing like
nothing crazy
relatable.
Like what you got,
like. Fuck. There's nothing cool about my youth other than like I worked a lot and also I didn't drink. I didn't drink when I was younger, so that's probably why everything was fucking mundane and shit. And I say that, and Mike and FXR Mike and Mark both don't drink, and they're still there doing rad shit all the time. But that's.
I think that's just because we have a problem with drinking.
Yeah, I guess that's the common denominator for the situation. So, advice for new painters.
Okay.
I guess you're just
tagging out. Boop. On that note, I'm gonna pee.
Yeah, I got to pee too.
So what is your advice, since you are somewhat of a new painter, Jesse?
I think the hardest thing that I'm struggling with right now is like doing lines, like tape lines and pinstriping, like painting in your own pinstripes and shit by running tape. I wish that I would have paid more attention to that shit when you were doing it, because that shit gets fucking really complicated. Trying to get clean lines and trying to like make sure everything's fucking like measured out and like the shapes are the same and like everything's geometrically like symmetrical.
Yeah,
that is probably the most difficult thing to do when it comes to like custom paint.
Yeah, well, as far as like advice for painters, I guess that's the one thing that not a lot of people talk about, is that there's so many different aspects of the paint concept of being a custom painter.
It's not the painting itself that's really difficult. Like, I mean, some colors, yes, they can be a pain in the ass, but it's more so making like the quality of the lines that you're laying out and what you're doing. Like, that's what's more difficult, is knowing the colors, what goes together, and like knowing how to lay out graphics correctly. Yeah,
I don't know, man. It's really hard to give advice, because there is like, I mean, are you talking about advice for, graphics or being a custom painter? Or are you talking about just like painting in general? Because
I mean, I couldn't tell you how to like paint a full fucking SUV correctly, Yeah. I mean, I can do like a motorcycle tank and shit. But I mean, if it comes to like doing a fucking some kind of silver on a fucking SUV and you're trying to match that shit, nah, dude, I'm out.
Yeah, I guess the concept would be is.
I mean, he's talking to you, so he probably wants to know about graphics and shit.
Well, I think the best advice for anybody trying to get into anything is find somewhere they can be around it 24/7.
Yeah.
So if you can find another paint shop that you can kind of just maybe sweep around the shop, be around it, pay attention, like you're going to learn so much that way, as opposed to just being like, here's the deal.
I think you have to do it first though, so you know what you're looking for. Yeah. So you need to go ahead and try to paint something and fuck it up.
Well, I think if you watch long enough, then you're going to figure out, okay, do this, ask questions, be present to things. I think that the lazy thing to do is just ask people shit. Hey, man, how'd you do that silver leaf?
Especially if you don't know why you're asking.
How'd you do this? How'd you do that? How'd you do this? How'd you do that? You have
to understand the question.
You have to understand why you're asking before you even start asking shit like that.
But I mean, like, I guess unless you're in the middle of like Nebraska and there's no fucking place to go be around a paint shop, which even in the middle of Nebraska, there's still going to be a collision center around that you can sweep at. Yeah. That you can like buddy up with the painter and just learn the basics of paint. And that's something that I think people, you have to understand that like my time is valuable. And so if you want to learn something, you have to make your time doing this valuable in some kind of thing.
Well, that's any aspect. I'm a machinist by trade. So there's very many, how do you say that? There's a lot of different aspects of being a machinist. There's, you got people who are just sweeping the shop. It's the same thing as painting. Yeah. You got people sweeping the shop. You got people, cutting material. You got people prepping. It all boils on the same thing. Then you got people like, myself, that I've been doing this my whole life. Like, I've been a machinist my entire life. Yeah. I grew up around it, been around it. And so it's the same thing as like with the paint thing. It's yes, you have to learn from your mistakes, but you're not going to learn anything unless you pay attention. You get what you put into anything.
Somebody's phone's fucking this stuff up. I don't know. Anyway, but yeah, that is the thing. It's like you have to find a way to. I think it is your phone.
It is my phone?
Yeah. That's weird. Is it like blocking the signal?
No, it's like.
Oh, it's getting too close to the thing. Yeah.
But no, I think that the best thing to do with any trade is to find somebody and give away your time to them somehow. Like, to me, it's like with our buddy Saxon coming to the shop, and I say, hey, I need some help, but if I'm going to show you how to do this shit, like, I can't afford to pay you like I would pay someone that knows how to do it.
Right.
But I can show you how to do it right. And if you're interested in it, I just opened the curtain to a lot of shit that you could kind of.
Well, yeah, he can find opportunities on his own too.
You know, and so it's a matter of people like investing their time for real. And I think that's the only way to get better at anything. It's the only way to go anywhere is you have to invest time. Like I'm still not the best airbrush artist I want to be, but I've already invested 10 plus years into it, and I'm going to get better if I keep investing time.
Yeah.
So, you know, a lot of people have to like learn that everything is based on patience and how much of their mind and their time they invest in something to get better. So
yeah, and there's so many different ways to do so many different types of painting that to honestly, like, this is really something I feel like you can get good at by YouTubing.
Yeah, I mean, you can probably find answers to some things on YouTube.
I feel like you need to talk to somebody, and you need to have somebody to conversate with that does this shit. You know what I mean? So like when you have a question and you can't really just look it up because there's going to be 7 different answers, because I've looked it up. I've looked shit up and I'm like, that's fucking wrong. Yeah. You know what I mean? On shit that I've read. But then again, like I said, there's a lot of different ways to do this shit.
There's also an art to sifting through YouTube and finding out what the fuck is
But how are they going to know if they don't know? You know what I mean?
Everybody thinks that something they do might be great, but it's not until somebody else looks at what you're doing and says, that's fucked up.
I think you have to look at the whole hub of information itself as a whole, and then take pieces from it that make sense, I guess, or try it all and see what works and what doesn't, which is what I do.
Yeah, trial and error. There's a lot of mechanics out there that are really good.
From the beginning, fucking just fuck it up. Whatever you're doing, dude, just fuck it up, dude. Let it go bad. Because then you're gonna have questions because you're gonna fuck shit up.
The thing that's hard about painting,
and then that's when you start asking questions.
I guess what's hard about a painter himself, like if you want to be an airbrush artist, like you buy an airbrush, you buy a couple paints, and you're good. But painting is a plethora of tools and air tools and paint guns and
I mean if you wanted to be like
a location
startup,
to do it, like it's a very hard thing to just walk into.
it's not like most things at all.
I mean, if you want to become a good mechanic on a bike or something like that, you can literally work on the shit in your carport at your apartments and kind of get away with stuff. But painting is very difficult in that aspect, so you almost got to give it its fair due of respect in that sense.
And that's why you need to know somebody who does it, because they're gonna be able to provide you
I can't tell how many times have I said in this podcast, if you want to learn how to do graphics, go buy some tape and find something that the tape sticks to and lay out graphics on it. It doesn't matter what it is. The refrigerator, your fucking smooth ass kitchen table, your glass table. That works
in a sense, but then the difference is learning what types of tape to use, where to use it, how to use it. What can bend properly. Whenever you have to spray on top of that, otherwise you're not gonna know. I can lay out clean ass shit on fucking.
I think that all you got to do is learn. Like there's a muscle memory to pulling tape lines.
Absolutely.
And so it like I said with everything, the more you do it, the more fluid it feels, and the more easy it will become.
Right.
Then you can start like imagine like if you just practice for a month, once a day. A roll of tape, lay out flames. By the end of that month, you're going to be a master at laying out flames, because it's, in a sense, I like the idea that it's
like
not a talent.
Guitar, then.
In a sense, I don't like to say it's a talent that you're born with. It's a skill that you acquire through effort and attention. So, if you like a certain style of graphics, you have to immerse yourself with those graphics, and then eventually you'll understand them. You'll be dissecting those graphics, just like I would think a musician. Like if you hear guitars, you're kind of probably dissecting the notes in your head.
Absolutely.
Like what strings were that, and what combination to get that sound and whatnot. It's the same thing. It's like you have to look at it with, judgmental eyes, I guess. You got to dig into it.
100%. I agree with that.
Dude, I follow like those Badass Machinist page on Instagram.
Yeah.
Dude, I'll sit there on the shitter and just like, I've done shitting minutes ago, and I'm like on the next video like, what is that gonna? Oh shit! It's a fucking
dude. I will watch. And like I said, I am not desensitized to this at all. I've been around it, and I sit there and I will watch that, and I'm like, holy shit! How did they do that? And you can't just go look it up. It's tribal knowledge. It's something that one shop might do that another shop's like, well, that's stupid. Why do you do it that way? Well, that's just the way we do it. Well.
That's something I've seen just hopping around shops, is how different everybody does shit.
Everybody has their way.
You know what I used to do whenever I would go try to work for like dealerships and other, collision stuff? Mm-hmm. Is I heard from somebody, I heard this from Gary when I worked for him. He goes, it's like if I walk into a dealership or a collision center fuck the front desk. Where's the paint shop at? I'm gonna go talk to the painter because he's the one that's gonna hire me. And I would be like, hey man, I know how to do this. I'm looking for a job, but you know, I'm really interested to know how you want me to do this.
That's exactly what I do.
You know, because basically, you know, that's the case. It's like when you're in that position as a helper, you don't know shit. You work for him now. You know, and that, I mean, yes, you do know stuff, but your conflict.
You want to know how he wants it done because he does shit.
Because his finished product that he puts out is reflected on the work that you do. So if you do all your shit wrong, then his job is on the line now. So he wants to hire people that are coachable and going to do the things the way he wants them done. Because obviously, if you're in the painter position, you were in the helper position, right? So go in with an attitude of like, hey man, I know the concept of this, I know how to do it, but I also know that I'm becoming part of your team, and the whole goal of this is for us to make out good products and be done. Yeah. Instead of like constant like, you know, going back and forth on who's right and who's wrong, nobody's getting paid on that, you know. So but I mean,
there's 100 ways to do something, and somebody might have tried 99 ways. If you walk in and you think you know everything, you might know that one way, but you don't know the 99 ways he's tried. Yeah. So it goes back to that exact same thing. You have to sit back and listen to what they've done, because you can't always just walk in thinking, oh, well, I can change this, I can change that. You know, you can't.
It goes back to being an Indian, man. A lot of people need to understand that in order to be a great leader, at some point you have to follow. You have to be able to take direction and work underneath someone long enough to become a leader, become the dude making the decisions and stuff like that.
I think there's just a lot of people that get too arrogant into what they're doing, and then that fucks them.
Well, I mean, think about it. Think about with the culture nowadays. When I was starting in this industry, we didn't have social media, and now, you know, you can get the, what is the word? You can get the pat on the back for a lot of mediocre shit nowadays if you just take a good picture and got some good hashtags.
Yeah, sweet, dude.
Yeah. But, you know, and so if you go work for a job that's going to be like trying to coach you into who you need to be in the real world, a lot of people that have a high mentality or high, like, think that they're on a level already.
Yeah, they use the app to get to 20K followers, and everybody rides their dick on the deal, you know, like they're fake as fuck about it. And then they go into somewhere in the real world and they're like, all right, this is how you do this. And they're like, well, no, it's not, because, you know, I got 20K followers. Well, the real world does not give a fuck.
Yeah, how much money are you making off that?
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, nobody gives a fuck if your outfit's on point today, dude. But
yeah. Well, you know, I brought it up twice, and I still haven't took the time to research it. But, you know, I heard some people commenting about the concept of social currency and shit, and I've been really wanting to look into what that...
I feel like that would hold some value to certain things, but other things, like I said...
Like if you're a party planner?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, absolutely. Like, if you do anything that's social, yeah, of course, you want a huge following on social media. But I feel like if you have a huge following on social media for, like, and you don't deserve it, or you, like, use an app to work for it, and you let that shit go to your head, and you get arrogant as to who you are, who you think you are, you just fucking ruined your whole life, because now... every foot forward that you put, you're going to think you're already doing better than the next dude. In reality, you ain't doing shit.
Well, I think, you know, say for instance for me, and like maybe going back to me talking about being drunk, and is that you don't realize that you might have X amount of followers on social media, but when you meet these people that follow you, it's still a first impression that needs to be made. Yeah. And I think that for myself, you know, sometimes that conversation starts with, hey man, I follow you on Instagram, man, I love your work, I love what you do, man, love you. Like, he knows everything about me, so in my mind, it's still not the first impression, but it is.
And you get a little arrogant about it.
Yeah, you might be, man, you know.
Whenever I met Jaden I met him at that, what was that barber show that we went to?
Yeah, the brass tacks thing.
The brass tacks thing, yeah. I met him first there. That was the first time I met him, and he said that to me. He's like, oh man, I follow you on Instagram, da-da-da. And I was like, who the fuck? You know, I didn't know who this dude was, and I was like kind of weirded out. Like I didn't get that often.
Jaden is the coolest motherfucker.
Jaden is one of the coolest motherfuckers that I know.
Suplex City.
Yeah, so it's like I said, and like that kind of opened my eyes too. It's like, man, you just, no matter fucking what, I don't care if you got 1 million followers or not.
It really is the first impression.
In person, it's the first impression, and if you're going to be arrogant, nobody's going to like
you.
Dude,
I'll be honest, man. I honestly think that I've forgotten that in myself, and you really have to check yourself, man. And this is what I'm kind of trying to do now, you know, is that you really want to be what you put out in the world that people like you for. You want to be that in real life, you know?
Yeah, 100%, man. It's like, especially if we're playful and funny and shit on here, and then we go out and we're in public eating somewhere and somebody approaches us and they're like,
And you're
oh
a
man,
prick.
dude, what the fuck, what's up, man? You know, and you're just like, dude, fuck off.
Hey, is that
Like,
that fag Jesse? Oh,
yeah. we weren't using that word.
No, he didn't use the whole
He
word,
didn't use
so
the whole
we're good.
thing. Yeah, so that's the point, man. And then, you know, the dude's going to think you're a fucking dick, and then in the long run, you're just hurting yourself. Because who knows,
Yeah.
man? That dude might have had some fucking awesome opportunities for you down the line. Or he might have become one of your best friends. Or, you know, so-and-so. He might have done something great for you, you know?
Yeah.
He could have saved your life, but you just fucking ruined it because you want to be full of yourself. You want to be arrogant. Nah, dude. Fucking whoever comes up
You're
to me.
dragging this out, dude.
I'm saying, dude. Whoever comes up to you, just fucking be real with them, dude, and don't be a fucking dick, man. Period.
Well, that's the exact same. This is exactly how our friendship became what it is. I went to Rot Rally with one of my best friends of like my entire life. I've known this guy forever, and he made a shitty decision, and it was literally just right place, right time, and then that furthered our friendship. And it's like you have to take those opportunities where you could have been a twat, and it would have been like a completely different deal. But like,
should have, because this guy.
well,
man,
exactly. Like, why the fuck bring this dude around?
Yeah.
But at the same time, like, you're not that kind of person. So like, you don't put that persona, like the thing you're saying, you check yourself. You do. And
Well, I have been being this guy lately,
Yeah.
and I've been noticing, like, you know, like, man, I'm, you know, being on a podcast, it's like people where you talk all day, you know,
people feel like they know you.
they feel like they know you and
Yeah.
stuff, and then, you know, you want, they really, if they like what you say on the podcast, and they want to like what you also say in real life, and the problem is that, you know, there's a reason why we haven't released any of the drunk podcasts.
Good Lord.
You know, and so when I'm drunk around a campfire, running my fucking mouth, it's like you almost got to have a disclaimer, like, you know,
He's drunk. Sorry.
yeah, you can't,
nothing he said can be used against him in the court of law.
Yeah.
So, you know,
or the court of
I
public
honestly
opinion.
feel like, though, man, like when anybody's drunk, I feel like all those things they're saying, like, people are always like, oh man, drunk thoughts or sober or whatever. I don't feel like
Sober
that's
wishes.
totally true, because I feel like the drunk thoughts get fucking exaggerated just a tad bit.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? Because whenever I'm drunk, like, I might be sad a little bit about some dumb shit, but
Yeah.
then I'll be like, man, this is fucking, man, the world fucking sucks. You know, like, that's me, because it's all exaggerated. I don't think
I like to call it, like, the things that I'm thinking about in my head that I haven't fully got an opinion about it yet or understood it.
baby
or-
thoughts.
Yeah, they're just really infants in the concept of thinking.
Yeah.
And then you get drunk and you talk about them as
splurting
if
them out.
as if you have it figured out. And, you know, to somebody that's not on your drunk level,
Yeah.
it sounds like, whoa, this dude's a fucking
Thank
dumbass.
God that
or-
Gideon, dude. Tony was on my level. He understood me.
drunk
We were
level. Yeah.
drunk as fuck. I don't even remember what we were talking about, but I know we had a real conversation.
I wasn't
'Cause
even there, and
remember
I feel
was
like I
drunk
know
as
what you
shit, and
said.
I'm leaned over on him, and he's leaned over on me, and he's like, "Fucking love you guys, man." I'm like, dude, my fucking girlfriend's a fucking piece of shit, dude. And then he's like, mine too, and I'm like, oh, like, that was a fucking good time, you know. And there you go again. That's why I drink, you know.
Yeah.
That's what I need to get away from.
Nobody talks about the year before you came to Giddy Up, and
Didn't drink, and I just went in my tent, went to bed at 9 o'clock. Yeah.
nothing cool happened.
Nothing cool happened.
But yeah, that's the only thing that I'm noticing, and you know, you just, in a weird way, especially when being on podcasts, you have to be a lot more mindful of the things you say.
Yeah.
Even though I'm fortunate that
You should
I haven't
do
said
that
anything.
regardless.
I haven't said anything that someone's really called me out on yet.
Yeah.
Nothing's been regurgitated yet.
Maybe it's because I'm like, I try to call myself out on it before they get a chance
Try
to
to
or
pull a
something.
B-rabbit.
Yeah.
little low key there.
Yeah. But I mean, at the same time, it's like I try to, I really want people to know that I'm not very smart, and I'm just really trying my best to.
That's such a Joe Rogan line.
No,
I'm not very smart, but let's talk about philosophy.
Well, I mean, we all have an opinion on philosophy and things like that,
Yeah,
because
absolutely.
we all live a life and we have an opinion on what our life has been and how we've experienced it.
Fuck
But
yeah.
the concept, or I guess what I'm trying to get at here, is that I'm not a journalist. I'm not a interviewer. I'm not a lot of things, but I'm sitting here and I'm trying to do my best to show and to give thoughtful conversation.
You're giving opinions, not facts.
Yeah.
Period. Yeah.
You know, we tried to get some facts today, but nobody, I guess Instagram messages don't work for certain companies.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But-
well,
You know, yeah, it is. It's just one of those things, man. So it's like moving forward. It's like you want to still be honest and to call out. Or I like to say, like, I don't know if what I'm saying is right or not, but I'm gonna say it, and then maybe you're gonna change my mind or you're not. or something. You know what I mean? Like if it's not put out there to think about it like that, then it's like, well, you know, like talking about the concepts with customers. It's like a lot of painters deal with a lot of different types of customers that make you want to fucking slit your wrists, right? And so why is it bad to say, you know, that you don't want certain types of customers or certain types of jobs from customers that doesn't fit your skill set or your style? You know, and I know there's painters out there that need the work and that need the challenge or have a different mindset on it. But, you know, it's like I've done both. I've been the guy that would paint anything for $1, and I've also now I'm the guy that's very choosy on the work I want to do. And so I probably haven't found the most accurate way of describing that. Instead, I'm like, fuck your flames, faggot. You know what I'm saying? Stuff like that.
Checks and balances. You're trying to find your own checks and balances inside your own life, inside your own choices.
Which is very hard to do.
Yeah, absolutely. It's hard to check yourself every once in a while.
Well, I think I've said it before. I think if this podcast goes on for a long time, in 10 years, I think I might be kind of smart and I might have my shit together.
What's going to happen is in 10 years, you'll be able to look back on all the dumb shit you said over the years and be like, wow.
Yeah, for sure. Where are we at? Okay, we need to move on to some more questions.
I'm going to go pee real quick.
Yeah. Next year shenanigans.
Next year shenanigans?
Yeah.
We do have
What are we doing next year?
We have quite the year planned next year. Well, yeah, kind of. So January we have IMS. We have
Dallas.
Easy Rider, Dallas. What's after IMS or after Easy Rider?
Fuck, man.
We'll have.
I think maybe backing up a little bit, like this year we started this bike night for DFW Dyna Crew, and then it kind of evolved into the people that were always going to the bike night. Basically split off from them and started our own little niche of friends, whatever. And as a joke, we started calling it the Anvil 8 as a response to the first 9.
Yeah,
you know. But somebody took it too far and went and got patches. So
now we all have patches.
Now we all have little chest patches we wear or whatever. But it's fun, and I think that's the thing about it, is it's fun. We have this like I'd say. How many people would you say? Like 15 or so of us?
I think there's 15 of us now.
Yeah.
That are pretty regularly showing up at the bike night. Yeah. Going on rides. I mean, this weekend we went. It was me and 2 of the other dudes. No, 3 of the other guys from the Anvil group that went to Nitty Gritty. And it's just like you always have people to ride with, and that's what's cool. Yeah. And then, but we're constantly doing shit like the Halloween party was just like all of us.
Yeah, we're doing shit not even motorcycle related.
Yeah, it's just we've become a group of friends that now it's not just motorcycles, but it always has something to do with motorcycles. Yeah. You always get that feeling of it, but it's not just revolving around motorcycles. Like the night we all came and crashed on your floor. It's the same shit. Yeah, we went to a bike show, but then after that, it was just all of us hanging out on the roof.
Drinking beer.
That was a good fucking time.
Yeah. But that's the thing. Is like we created that. And like I said, when
beer so bad.
But, you know, like I said, this kind of started and evolved at around April this year, May, and it's evolved into what it is now. And so, you know, like next year coming, we have, you know, IMS show is always a good thing to going on. And actually, I was talking to Daniel about this. I'm thinking about maybe hosting like a Saturday night or a Friday night little deal at Anvil for like people that are here in Dallas for the deal, just to kind of come and hang out and drink and have a good time and meet people.
Would that be before or after?
Before.
Would it be after?
Well, it would be after the show.
After the show.
So the show ends at like 7 or 8. So like maybe Saturday night. Yeah, come to Anvil, fucking hang out with bikers. And
instead of having like a booth or a table set up at the show, it's like, hey, once the show's over, you got your fill. Come hang out with us. Come chat, become a part of the group. You know, whatever.
Just hang out.
Chat with us.
Just hang out. You know, industry people, shit like that. But then after, like 2 weeks after that, is the Easy Rider show, which, like I said in the beginning of the podcast, we're super excited, and we want to try to do our best to kind of, you know, make it fun and make it eventful.
That's being hosted in Dallas, right?
Yes.
No, Easy Rider's in Austin.
It's in Austin.
Is it going to be in Austin?
Yeah.
Oh,
so it'll be in Austin. So, and it's going to be January, so it's probably going to be. I mean, my bike ain't going to be done, but you know, the bike we're building for James, Cody, Big Will Cody, that's his name now.
That's his name.
Big Will Cody. And then Mark's bike, you know, we'll all take it down there. And I'm supposed to be talking with them about maybe doing some cross promotions and stuff like that. So hopefully that comes down. Like I said, it's a good idea. It's good that Easy Rider's coming back to Texas, and hopefully if Texas can get their fucking asses off their ass, get their asses out of their house, then they'll see that it's worth it, that our motorcycle scene is worth them coming back to. And it, like I said, the more shows, the more reason people have to spend money on their bikes to fix them up and make them cool. And then of course after that, like, it's just kind of like February is just like a month that doesn't really exist in the real space-time continuum. So
that's kind of our shitty weather month.
Yeah. So basically that's the month I was planning on working on my bike and getting it dialed in. And then, then March comes and it's fucking back to camping and partying and riding,
I'm sure we'll probably do something before our big trip.
Yeah. Well, we have...
So ready.
I'm going to try to do Daytona again, but so everybody that's heard me talk shit about Daytona all year, this is how it's going down if I go, is I'm leaving and I'm riding the ride I wanted to ride the first time.
Yeah.
I'm going to check out the keys no matter how boring that ride is all the way there and back, but I want to say I did it. And then I want to check out the performance show again. And I want to spend like a day in Daytona, a day and a night. So like one night, that way I'm forced to have a good time one night, and then I'm out that bitch. Fuck whatever else is going on. You know what I mean? And then, so that's going to be my Daytona. I don't know how it's going to unfold yet, but that's the plan. And then we have Giddy Up. And then after Giddy Up at the beginning of May, it should be Texas Hills again. And then our big group, we're all planning the big ride to basically a ride to Cali. It's like going to be a 2-week trip, riding to Cali, checking out Born Free, checking out all the cool shit, doing all kinds of stuff. So, I mean, there's a lot of plans next year, but fuck, if you were to, we had the same question this year, and fuck, I didn't get to do any of it.
Yeah, we fucking
it all depends on life happens.
Yeah, I mean, I did Daytona, and the only other bike trip I took was the Indianapolis, and
that got ruined halfway through.
Yeah, so it's
the only one I did this year.
Every other bike trip that I took this year was within Texas. I haven't gotten to ride west.
Well, we've done like 2.5, 3 hour stints here and there. That's about it. Nothing major.
Yeah, we did Oklahoma.
Yeah, we went to Oklahoma twice.
Get the football to Oklahoma.
It takes us less time to get to Oklahoma than it does to get to Austin.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, because Austin has traffic.
Yeah, we don't ever hit traffic. We go the long way coming home, and we still get home faster than it would coming to Austin from Austin.
Yeah, I mean, there should be some cool shit going on next year, but at the same time, I've learned this year it's just better to like
take it a month.
Look at it 2 months in advance. Like, hey, this is all it's going down in 2 months. After that, I could honestly not own a bike at that point.
I don't give a fuck. Yeah. It always bothers me when people are like, what are you doing next year? I'm like, bro, this year's not even over, man. Why are you just like looking at... They're like the dude who clocks out at 4:45, and they're supposed to be out of there at 5. That's what they're doing with their life right now, clocking out early.
I don't get the analogy, but I'm just going to go with it.
Dude, I understand what he's saying.
2 months left. Why are you going to just
Who's clocking out early?
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm clocking out late, homie. It's all about that OT.
So
sorry, there's another one.
I guess overtime in life, yo.
I guess the last question of their stuff was, how do you like the mod helmet? And then we have one more question after that.
There's two of them. Yeah. The mod helmet, I really can't tell you because I don't own one. That's all you.
Yeah.
I think it fits a size bigger.
I agree. I wear an extra large, and I wear a large in the Mod Bandit.
Yeah, I feel like it fits a size bigger because that large is too big for me.
I don't know if I said this in the podcast yet, but I think for the sake of it now, I don't think it's fair to compare the modular to a full face helmet
at all. I agree with you 100%.
So I've had a lot of people ask me, go, hey man, what do you think about the Mod Bandit compared to the Ghost Bandit? I'm like, two different worlds. Right, that's the fridge over there.
Oh,
so it's a fucking. It's from
man.
the 50s, dude. It doesn't have its shit together. But one of the things I did realize is the looseness. I think is simply because the cheek pads don't go as far forward on your cheek as a normal full face would be. So it kind of has more room for movement on your head. So maybe
it has a shorter snout, like a snout though, like this, like the
snout nose comes up, so they can't put pads in that part.
Yeah.
So that's the one thing that may be changing. And I know that, and I asked Scott today from Simpson, I was like, hey, which helmet sizes are interchangeable insides? Because like, say for instance on the Ghost Bandit, like the large XL and XXL are pretty much the same helmet shell.
On the Ghost?
Yeah, on the Ghost.
Not anymore.
Well,
so now you have the medium large are the same, the large extra large are the same for the new shells. That's for the Ghost Bandit. Mm-hmm. So I'm with you. I want to know what sizes are interchangeable because that large still is kind of big on me.
Yeah.
So I'm halfway tempted to say I would try a medium just to see what it's like because that large, it's not the sizes are wonky. It's just maybe the.
But I'll tell you what though, like yesterday. I was wearing a sock because it was fucking 40 degrees,
Yeah.
so I had the sock on my face, and it felt perfect.
Yeah.
Like, it wasn't too much pressure on my head. It's almost like a helmet that, like, I find myself wearing it more than I've been wearing my Ghost Bandit, and I guess I don't. There's certain things that doesn't bother me. It's like, obviously, if you guys listen to the podcast, I think it was episode 40, we talked to Scott, and we went into a lot of depth about the mod and the things to expect about it and stuff like that. And I think that obviously people have to understand that with all the fucking openings and shit like that, it's a more louder helmet, right?
Yeah, you got more openings and all
But
that.
I'll be honest with you, like, I'm not that fucking queer on that shit, man. Like, I'm not that kind of guy.
Dude, you go onto the internet, on the old interwebs, and you look at the reviews. It's nothing but, this fucking helmet is so loud, and I'm like, dude,
the Ghost is
you're
loud.
on a fucking motorcycle, bro.
Yeah.
You think we should?
You want to like deaden all the sounds outside?
Yeah.
Well, you said it best
Get the
last
fuck over it.
in the podcast with Scott, and it's go ride 40, 50 miles or 100 miles without a helmet on, and then get to where you're going, and you can't hear a damn thing anybody says to you because your ears are ringing like a son of a bitch.
Yeah, you get that sand face feeling.
My fucking ears, even when I had a helmet on, back in the day when I first started riding with you guys, my ears would ring when I get off the bike. And now when I
You
get
had
off the
virgin
bike,
ears.
yeah,
Yeah, it's like
now
being
when
at
I
a
get off the
concert.
bike, it doesn't do that anymore. So I'm pretty sure I damaged my hearing.
He's all, I'm seasoned. I'm now, my
seasoned.
ears are seasoned.
Yeah, so it's like that doesn't happen anymore.
But I think that I want to get one of those bells. I want to ride with one of those.
The
R Star,
R Star or whatever.
There's the race star, and the Pro Star.
Pro Star.
I want to do one. I want to paint one up.
They
just
look
to kinda,
fucking cool.
Yeah, I like them. But like I said, this is not like an accurate thing, I guess. But for me, the way I look at helmets, and I've already made like a post recently about helmets and what it means to me. But the Simpson itself is really like it's like an iconic thing for this culture that we're in. And
Yes.
I would kind of give Bell credit. They're there too. But there's something about that Simpson look that speaks to the performance-minded
I
biker.
don't feel weird wearing a Simpson on a Harley, but I feel like I'd feel weird having any other kind of helmet on.
It's
You know
because
what I mean?
That's what you're accustomed to.
Yeah, it is.
Exactly, and that's what he's saying about the culture.
Absolutely.
It caters. You see these helmets and you think Harley, you don't think sport bike. But most people look at
Why? Let me ask you this question.
Well,
why
why?
is it okay for people to be like, everybody has that, so I don't wear it? Fucking everybody wears Dixons and everybody's fine with it. Everybody
wears-
rocks, a certain brand T-bar or a certain brand exhaust, and it's always fine.
Yeah.
But for some reason, everybody has a problem when it's like their specific thing is like, oh, everybody gets that, so I want to be different. I want to do the built well. Oh, you want to do the copy of it? You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's a copy of a copy.
I picked that thing up, man. That thing is not saving your life.
I had the Biltwell before I bought my Ghost Bandit.
Feels cheap.
It 100% is completely different when you put them right next to each other. Now,
And then it doesn't go down very far over your.
also,
over your
yes,
head.
the lane splitter is an equivalent to, I believe, the Outlaw, which
Yeah.
is the one that doesn't have the Outlaw Bandit. That's the exact same as what like the lane splitter is. Now, going to the Ghost Bandit, it's designed more for the motorcycle industry. So you have those channels and those vents and all that stuff. Now, the Mod Bandit, going back to that, you can close some of those vents, can't you?
Yeah, you can close them.
Yeah, you can close those vents. You can close the nose vent on the Ghost Bandit. You can get rid of a lot of that noise. But it's a motorcycle. Don't you want to hear it? You don't want to be dumb to the world.
Like I've said this a million times on here too, man. Like a Shoei or an Arai, they're really great helmets. They're probably the best helmets you can ever buy, but at $800,
$800, $1,300. That race star is $1,300.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I mean, there's a price point that comes into play, but like I said, it for me, it really is just the fact that the Simpson themselves. I see Simpson at events.
yeah,
I see. I'm like, I did my resume, and Scott's one of my fucking references. You know what I mean? So it's like, like to me, that means a lot to me, and I understand that not everybody has that connection with the people at Simpson that I do, but to me, it does.
Dude, I see Simpson on everybody's Instagram all the time, commenting, sharing shit.
Yeah, he's active.
Being part of the fucking community. He's not just somebody here taking money from these people.
And
who
he
ride
rides
bikes.
and he does this. And
Exactly.
I'm sure Bell is a great company. I'm sure Biltwell and I'm sure all these other companies are also there. But nobody from Simpsons, reposting our bikes and pictures of helmets.
Nobody from Bill.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, you
Bill.
said Simpson. I'm like,
nobody from Shoei is what I was meant to say. Shoei and Arai and all these people, they're not reposting it because they're not connected. They are reposting helmets, but it's usually MotoGP shit and fucking like sport bike stuff. It's because that's more their culture.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe, I think a helmet's going to pretty much all do the same job depending on how you hit the
If
ground.
you're going down, dude, you're going down. It's going to fucking hurt.
It's
Period.
like, what was Jetty kept asking? Like, Jetty was like, hey, man, I just don't know if I want to wear that Mod Bandit, with the front end. What if I go down on my face? And I'm like, motherfucker, you just rode up here without a helmet on.
Yeah, it's like, dude, if you're willing
I
to
love
take
Jetty. I love Jetty's like, yeah, you're right.
Yeah, you're right.
That's a good point.
So, there's a lot of...
I had the same problems, though, whenever I first started fucking around with these helmets. I was worried about shit like that, I was like, dude, it's fucking... Because I was reading reviews on The Simpsons and shit, and I was like... Granted, Jay's bought me the Simpson, the first one that I had, so, that was my first helmet that I had and shit, so I have always had a Simpson, but... Like, after reading reviews and shit, and everybody was like, oh my god, they're so loud, and they're so this, and they seem like they're not built very well, and et cetera, but I had my doubts and worries, but man, I just was like, fuck it, dude, it's a fucking helmet.
Yeah.
You're gonna go down at some point, and I feel like Simpson's gonna be okay. It's gonna be more okay than a Scorpion, I'm definitely not gonna die in it.
Well, I've had a lot of different helmets. Like, I've had the high end. I had the RF 1100 from Shoei, which is a great helmet.
Yeah, that's like their mid range. It's kind of like the same price range as a Simpson, right? It's a little bit more expensive.
No. The RF 1100, RF 1200 is their second to top tier.
It's like $600.
And then you go, but their helmets don't get that expensive. Like the X14 or whatever, the high dollar one is only like $1,000.
I just heard Shoei was like comfort wise really well.
Shoei's great.
And
light helmets.
There's people bitching about like the buffeting that you get with Simpson helmets.
That has nothing to do with the fucking helmet.
And that's what I was saying.
It all has to do with how you
I feel like there's a
ride.
lot of people who can just write reviews after riding one time.
Yeah.
Dude, I would ride a bike, sport bike, Harley, whatever, and sometimes the buffeting would only happen to me when I had a passenger in the way they were sitting on the bike.
Yep.
Yeah.
Like, I'd be riding, and I just feel my head jerking left and right. And
I get it bad if it's a windy day and I go in between two 18-wheelers. If I go,
why would you do that?
You mean like
if you're
It's
on
a windy day, and you go.
No, it sounds worse than it is.
It's totally worse.
No, like you're passing 18-wheelers and like one's, they're both one's in the fast
Not in
lane.
between two of them.
Not in between, like I'm
just like
I'm
you have
talking,
your own lane.
I'm in the middle lane.
He's
Okay.
not like eastbound to down. Jesse just got squished. But
Twisted.
No, I mean, like, if you're just going right down, it's a fucking wind tunnel.
Yeah.
You're gonna get buffeted.
Oh, well, that's
you know what I mean? And if you get behind one, you're gonna get buffeting. All of that shit happens just because that's the way fucking physics work and like wind and shit.
Well, I don't like. To me, it's like, dude, and I get everybody's on different pay scale of life, but fuck, buy all of them.
The only issue that I have ever fucking had with any of my helmets, my Simpsons, was the original fucking Outlaws didn't have a detent, so it wouldn't stay up, the lid, and that bugged the shit out of me. But you know what? Now here they are, and they have it, and they fixed it. They fixed the real issues.
It's the same problem you used to have. You couldn't stay up.
No, that
never had that problem.
He's had a hard on.
Don't put your insecurities onto me.
Just couldn't stay down. That's the key.
That is my issue. But yeah, so they fixed that. So honestly, I have zero complaints with them. I think they're.
Well,
they're
you see,
fucking,
like I said, you see those chat rooms and you see the comments on people's shit. Everybody's always got something stupid to say, or some like I never get this. Like when someone has something negative to say about something, it's like they'll go on like, me and Scott were talking about this. He was like, man, like, there's some racist ass people out there. They were talking about how like the mods are only for black people. Fuck off, this, that, and yet, like on their Simpson page.
On the page?
Yeah, where he was like, man, I had to delete all this stuff. It's like he made a helmet. They made a helmet to fill a void in the market that they didn't make. Now, I think personally that the mod looks better than any other modular helmet out there.
Yes.
But I'm also looking at very, what's the word, like
square.
I'm just looking at it from a set of eyes that's already in love with the helmet styling.
You're looking at it as a friend.
maybe that as well. Maybe because I like Simpson, but it's the same way we've had this love-hate relationship with Harley, where we love Harley and then all of a sudden they do some shit we're not really sure about. And we're like,
it's just like any
I'm supposed to like this.
Why are you doing this to me? Well, you're gonna have your arguments, man.
I look at it as this. Even if it wasn't a modular, I still like the design of the helmet itself. Yeah. Like I like how and we said this when I tried it on the other day. It's not that it's a modular. It's the design. It's the way the helmet is shaped. The way the helmet is shaped looks good. Like the whole.
Honestly, I think it's probably my favorite design out of all three helmets.
Dude, I don't even use it. Like when I was in fucking Galveston, like someone
you were wearing the damn thing on the top of your head.
I was wearing it on the top of my head, and I was drinking a beer, and I was like Instagram storying.
And then somebody was like, "Why didn't you?"
Dude, just put the helmet on and open it. I'm like, oh yeah.
The day I tried it on, that's the first thing I did. I was like, take a drink of my drink. It's like that's what you do at the stoplight now. You can have your cup holder and get a drink.
I think it's just it's progression, man. It's just about having something cool. But I like the helmet. It fucking fits my head. I mean, it is looser than my Ghost Bandit, and at first I thought that was an issue, but I actually kind of like the comfort now. Yeah. And I don't expect, like, it's not gonna fly off my head, and it's not shaking when I'm riding, so it's not really an issue to me. Yeah. But like I said, I'm not very picky when it comes to that shit because I'm used to not having a helmet on, so it's still better than what I was doing.
Right.
Dude, I rode without a helmet the other day, and I was like, fuck ever doing this again. Why does anybody do this?
No, I do. If I go to the store or something, I'm like, I'll just go to the store. It'll be fine.
And then you get on a bike, and you're like, fuck.
Yeah, you're like, what the fuck am I doing? Put on a pair of glasses.
Shit's like hitting you in the face.
Yeah. We were talking to somebody, and they were like, man, like, look at that rock chip on your helmet. Like, what if you didn't have your helmet on? I'm like, you know what? I used to never wear helmets, and I never had a rock hit me in the face. So I don't know how all of a sudden I have rocks hitting my helmet.
That's a fucking lie, because it seems like every time I don't have a helmet on, I get on 35 over here where they're doing all that construction, all I do is just take pebbles to the face, dude. Fucking earth is just skeeting all over me, man.
It never really happened. I've been hit by bugs, like, to the point where I was wondering if I was bleeding before.
Dude, I got hit. I remember when we were going to Sturgis, dude, I got hit by a fucking, it was on the way home, actually. I got hit in Oklahoma, like, before it was nighttime. And I got hit with a fucking grasshopper in my neck here. Dude, and I fucking felt like I couldn't breathe for a second, dude. It was like...
You punctured a vein?
Yeah, I was like, God damn, dude.
You know what the worst thing to ever happen when you're riding? Or at least for me, because I do this all the time, is when I hang my feet down, and then you hit a kitty in the road. You're like,
you think you broke your foot?
If you look down, yeah.
You think your foot fell off, especially when
it stings so bad because it happens so quick, and it's like, fuck, that hurts so bad, and it's like you're not paying attention,
and then you feel like a dumbass for ever putting your feet down, thinking you were cool.
Yeah. I did that the other day.
I only do it just for comfort, man.
I do too. Every once in a while, I'll put my feet down, and I'm like, okay. Make sure I don't get to the side of the lane too far, because if I hit one of them things, I'm gonna hate life.
Yeah, dude, that shit sucks, man.
And it sucks now because for this year, I've been wearing Vans a lot, and so there's no
so
padding.
You're basically just like.
So I realized that Vans are gonna be summer shoes for me, because coming back from Nitty Gritty yesterday, it was like I had another pair of socks on.
Yeah. Why do you think I said I was trying to buy some warmer shoes?
Yeah.
It's all about which ones you wear.
Oh, you got the skateboard.
You gotta get the high tops, man.
Nah, fuck all that. I'll go back to I got some Air Max that'll do just
That's why I was trying to buy.
You gotta get rid of that canvas.
Some polo boots, because I'm bougie like that, you know.
Wish I had fucking 100 or something. I want to get some Doc Martens.
Got that Burberry hanging out the top.
Dude, they're fucking dope.
That's gay.
Doc Martens.
What are you?
They're dope as fuck, dude.
You join a neo-Nazi organization too?
No, Doc Martens. That's fucking Bridges of Madison County shit. Or what was the show?
Bridges of Madison County?
I don't know. What was
He's talking shit. He don't even know what he's talking about.
It was like that gay-ass show that was on TV in the 90s. It was like...
anything you've ever been a part of.
Party...
No. Like a TV show. Like didn't it have a dad on there like banged a lot of the people? Or
he wore Doc Martens. You know why? Because he was banging lots of people.
No, I know what you're talking about.
He got it.
One Tree Hill or some shit like that.
Something like that.
The fact you even know what this is.
Quick.
No, I'm just saying.
No, I know.
I made fun of the people listening to this shit because there were these like soap opera teenage soap operas is what it was.
I will attest to something though. When I was in high school, I bought a pair of Doc Martens. I wore those stupid fucking boots from the time I got out of high school until like probably 4 years ago. They finally like let out, and I got out of school in like 2004.
Dude, and they're cheaper than polo boots.
Well, I'm not a big boots fan personally.
No.
So like, I don't really wear them. Like literally, I have a couple pair of polo boots that I only wear
fucking
when
lame,
it's cold.
dude. I have this thing for boots, but every time I put them on, I'm like, no, stop it. You're ugly as shit.
You got a thing for boots.
Yeah. Dude, I'm like,
What was?
I'm so.
I have a pair of Red Wings
I didn't
now.
think about how gay that sounded until after I said it.
Yeah, absolutely. You stop. And
I
you
was
look
thinking
back
about
at
that
it.
fucking. What was that? What was that movie?
about Prince for
21
some
Jump
reason.
Street 2
Yeah.
or 22 Jump Street or whatever, and he was
22.
like, when homeboy was acting like a Mexican guy, and he was like, I can't even do it. So I'm
No, it made me think of Prince when I said that. Because they were like,
I got a thing for boots.
yeah, y'all looked at me like I was gay, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna come out with this on
Wow.
top somehow. I'm gonna
Okay, well,
call Prince.
But anyway,
Back to One Tree
Yeah,
Hill.
so I want some Doc
One
Martens.
Tree Hill. Okay, you were gonna say something?
No, that was the gist of it.
No, but I just thought that shit was gay.
Yeah, I just
Basically.
want to get some Doc Martens, regardless of whether you think it's gay or not.
Oh,
so.
more power to you, man. You want to, look like a.
Like to fuck homeboys in the ass. That's cool.
You can tell it to turn to Kyle. They have them.
Well, they're
wear Doc
cool.
Martens.
Yeah,
Oh.
they're cool in Doc
Yeah.
Martens.
Yeah.
There's a reason that they're cool in Doc Martens.
They do mosh pits.
Yeah.
Me too.
When you kick people's teeth in,
Motherfucker.
it's different.
But no, I think the helmet thing, like going back to that, is just it really is a tribal thing in my opinion. It's really picking a company that you respect and you like, and maybe unless you just have the shape of head that doesn't fit well in the helmet, then that's completely understandable. But if you
The
don't,
shape of you.
that's pretty good one, though. So I just think that like that, if like they just don't feel comfortable in your head, which you're only going to understand if you try it. But I mean, think about it. How many people buy bars online and don't
God.
know what size they want?
And then they
right?
show up and they fucking.
That's how
regret
people
it.
get deals on shit, man. That's how people get deals on
That's
shit.
this
Yeah.
guy.
Yeah.
I bought 14-inch bars for my Road Glide, not knowing the difference between a 14 on a Road Glide and a 14 on a Dyna, because this is only the second bagger I've ever had in my life. Didn't know there was a difference. So I got 14s. They were way too low. So I went up, put a spacer on. Well, then I put another, and now I bought a set of 18s. So it's like,
If you really think about it, man, Doc Martens are like.
only if you tie them as tight as humanly possible,
Dude, if
like a
you're-
football.
Yeah, like a football.
Yeah, and then I'm going running today.
No, if you really think about it, dude, Doc Martens are like helmets for your feet.
They're like,
What the fuck?
do you remember the ones that they made that they had the steel toe on the outside of the
Yeah.
boot?
I don't.
They did
No,
that.
I don't.
That was
because
big
did
when
that.
we were in high school.
I
when
did
we were in
not
school.
do gay shit like that.
Well,
in
I'm
high
not
school,
saying
I
like
wore.
that.
He still wore polos
J's
and
No, in
shit.
high school, I wore Jordans and I had a pair of polo boots because that was what was cool in the 90s.
Yeah, the tan ones.
Yeah, and then Doc Martens came out, but I went
you
to a
were
very
Fuck is this faggotry?
ethnic school, so
two.
certain things didn't go well in there. You had to fit in, or you got beat up. You know what I mean?
Speaking of fitting in,
So you get Doc Martens and beat them up.
fuck Doc Martens. So
What'd you
December
call me?
9th, one of the most iconic Jordan is coming back out.
Which one?
It's the 11s,
Which ones were those?
the Space Jams.
Oh, Space Jam.
But it's not the
Space
Space Jam
11s.
colorway. It's the
So it's
oh,
not.
It's
not.
the original colorway
You know
that
what?
came out
The
in.
one fucking shoe that Jordan made that I would fucking kill to have again was it was like they did this very short line of skateboarding shoes, and it was like all white, but it had a black like the fucking where your toes are. For
I remember when I used to skateboard, there was a company called ES or S.
S.
yeah.
And
yeah. They were
one of
dope.
my favorite guys was Eric Costin. It was a skater, and that was his signature shoe that looked like the shell toe Jordans that came out.
Yeah.
He rides for Nike.
He does?
Yeah,
For real?
yeah,
That's crazy.
100% rides for Nike, and they brought that shoe that
I
you were
remember
talking about.
ES isn't around anymore, is it?
So now,
Because I remember I used to wear those too.
yeah, okay. So S, Etnies, and there's another company. They're all the same. This is my IMD Daniel moment. So they're all the same company. They all combined into one company. So now it's just
So
the
they're
two.
like a transformer.
It's like it's America and Etnies, I think.
No, they all touch tips and transported.
Yes.
Out of the market.
Out of the market.
Now everybody rides for Nike. So
Yeah.
Later, queers.
I feel like skateboarding has lost kind of some of its steam.
Oh yeah, but it's like it did in the 90s.
But what's crazy though is you see motherfuckers nowadays who are like skating, they do some fucking insane shit,
Yeah,
but nobody pays attention anymore.
Dude, I follow skateboard pages all the
Me
time.
too, I do, but I'm saying like I feel like it's very underrated now.
It's
To me,
desensitized.
Instagram entertainment is I follow Skateboarding Amazing, which is a page, Badass Machinist, and then the thing about Facebook that I'm starting to hate, but I kind of dig it, is that like you'll be scrolling down Facebook and you'll see like a video that's like, watch us make this table resin pour, and I'm like 5 minutes into it, I'm like,
what the fuck am I watching? I'm
yeah,
like,
if you have
I got
good
sucked
friends, my shit's dumb. And it's
Oh,
like
no.
you scroll through.
That has
and
nothing to do with
fucking
friends. It's
It
just
has
like
to do with the
your friends
algorithm
that
that they're
share.
using, and it's based on your search on like Google and everything, because
Oh,
everything's
so all the
connected.
diseases I think I have.
So now when you search things, it will automatically like set into the algorithm in Facebook. Like it finds what you're looking at. So like you get these,
My Facebook is so confused.
find out how to build a doghouse in Antarctica. It's like, what?
that guy that makes a hot tub out of rocks and
Yes.
shit. I'm like, okay, I'm watching this.
Or the
10 minutes in, I'm like,
slow clap.
how to build a fire pit with nothing but rebar and concrete.
yeah,
And you're like,
because that's
I can build a fire pit. All I have to do
think
is
that's
dig
what
a
it's
hole
made
and
out
put
of.
some bricks around the top.
Yeah.
it was
I literally did it in my
I've seen
backyard.
some of the coolest shit. And then you watch those guys that make the tables that turn into like benches. Oh, this is just a bench, but it turns into a table, and now you have.
I like
can seat
watching
7
things on
people.
lathes, like
Yeah.
the wood lathes
Oh,
where they
yeah.
make bowls and shit. And
Oh hell yeah! Those big giant pieces of wood
Yeah.
they'll screw a screw into and put it on a lathe and turn that bitch down by hand. That's just badass.
yeah. Jesse doesn't
What,
see
you
you
don't
what
even know.
happened to this
His
podcast?
algorithm is definitely herpes shot.
I don't even want to start talking about my fucking algorithm. It goes from HIV to fucking trannies.
Yeah,
trannies. It's one of the 27 genders.
27.
I'm fucking them all.
Did you just assume my gender? How fucking dare you, bro?
How dare you, bro?
How?
We had to throw at least
Don't
one of
care.
those in here.
Don't care.
Yeah, but I think that, I guess, wrapping up the helmet conversation, I think it's really just
Doc Martens for your feet.
people just need to try it. You know what I mean? They need to try they need to try them, or you know, fuck, man. Like, people buy helmets all the time, and
Yeah.
if they don't fit or they're not right, then they just put them online and sell them. People buy that shit.
Yeah, I'm not gonna knock anything till I try it. Like I said, I had the Shoei. I liked it, but it wasn't exactly what I wanted. I had the lane splitter. Wasn't exactly what I wanted. I never wore it. It sat on my sissy bar more than
Yeah.
it was on my head.
I guess my question was how, like, when you look at the kit of what we all listen to, I guess, turn my compressor on.
fucking fuck it up.
When we look at the kit that everybody buys that's in our scene, you
Yeah.
know, they got Dixons, they got Vans, they got, you know, this and that and this and that. Why is the helmet the one they hate on? Oh fuck! You know, I guess Dixon gets it every once in a while. It's like, oh man, I'm a Pendleton guy, or whatever the case may be. But at the same time, it's like, why? Like,
Yeah, why does the helmet get the rap? I think it's because the helmet is, well,
A statement piece for your personality.
some of us, yes. Because do you know how many people have stopped and looked at that helmet and said, "Damn,
that shit's
and it's-
gay.
Well, that, or they're like, "Who did that?" I get more questions on that helmet, and then they're
Did
like,
anything
"Oh,
else?
well,
Yeah.
what is it?" It's the second thing. So it's like you yourself have created a tribal thing for everyone around it, because we'll be sitting at Anvil and people will do that. Your helmet, my helmet, Jesse's helmet,
Everybody's helmet.
Anybody that has a helmet that's painted or that's done, or even the helmets that just look crazy.
yeah,
People look at it and they're like, "Well, why would you wear something like that?"
who? There's somebody. Oh, Kyle doesn't have a Simpson.
He's the only one.
He's got
Yeah,
a, he's
everyone
got a bill,
else.
right?
No,
No, this is a bell. Yeah,
he has a
bell.
bell. It's the qualifier, I think, but it's
Yeah.
got like the
It's got
warbird on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but everybody else rocks a Simpson, and I think it's cool. I mean, fuck. I mean,
I don't give a fuck what you're wearing, dude.
I don't care either.
I'm not
Put a
on my
fucking
bike.
helmet
Like, I
on.
can't believe you don't have a fucking Simpson on riding next to
just
me. This is so stupid. I'm not
Put on a
Jace.
fucking helmet. It's cool when
Dude,
like
I just said I don't care about it.
it's cool when we all roll around and we're all like fucking. You know, you feel like a fucking it. Like a
We all got
Say
an Anvil 8 patch, and we all have helmets that are
same
Simpsons.
helmet.
We look like fucking Power Rangers, man.
Dude.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah, we look like a bag of Skittles going down the road.
We need to start getting off our bike and like doing this. I know y'all can't see it, but
Wow.
a symbol.
Yeah, so just in case anybody wanted to know what Jace just did, anybody who watched Mighty Morphin Power Rangers knows exactly what I'm talking about when it's morphin time.
Yeah.
Jesse, in the dark.
Yeah, he started off in Pokemon.
Dude, I fucking jerked off to the pink Power
I choose
Ranger, bro.
you.
No, you didn't.
Yeah, the fuck I did.
don't know who
Jace
Amy-
used to hang
You
me
just said you
upside
didn't
down.
jerk off to fucking Easy Rider. How the
Yeah,
fuck
you
did
don't
you
know
jerk
Amy
off
Jo
to
Johnson. Come on.
Yeah.
Because I was jerking
was
off to the TV show.
You know who knows Amy Jo Johnson? Victor Newmart.
He's my dad, okay?
Yeah, John Teller over here knows
No.
Amy Jo.
No.
Yeah.
She was on
No.
Felicity too.
Anyways,
Felicity.
I remember when I was a
Back to Doc
kid,
Martens.
Jace used to fucking pick me up by my ankles and call me the pink Power Ranger and hang me upside down.
If I could pick your fat ass up now, I'd do
You can't make shit up.
Wow. But no, that's
I used to be like, no, I'm the Green Ranger. He's like, no, you're the fucking pink one. Rah.
yeah, well.
Yeah, that was a real thing.
When you look like a
Scarred
girl,
for
it's easy.
Children, life. Scarred for life.
all
that's what
his
I meant.
problems in life are me. That's cool. I'll be your fall guy.
It's just Jace's fault.
Take the fucking fall, man.
I'll be your fall guy.
Guy.
Your guy, pal.
It's your pal guy.
Not your buddy, friend.
When I still can't get over the Power Rangers thing.
It can't get over you.
All right, so I guess the last question on the devil was, what was some of the best Texas rides, like best roads that
Down the
people have
street
ridden
from our
down?
house.
No, 1431.
1431
for sure.
from Cedar Park to Marble Falls is probably one of my favorites and most accessible.
Yeah.
I haven't rode Three Sisters yet. I haven't rode
either.
any of the Big Bend yet.
We've done a lot of riding everywhere but Texas.
Yeah, I mean the thing is, like, you can go.
Texas is so big, though.
You can just go north into Oklahoma, right around Adam Sandoval's campground and that Talamina Highway. There's some
man.
great riding up there.
Fuck.
Well, and
Nice.
and you don't even have to do the whole thing. And there's definitely points where you can stop and kind of take in the views and stuff like that. And there's definitely areas where you can just haul ass and have fun. But that's 1431 too.
But I mean, so that Talamina Highway is literally only like 2.5 hours from here, and so
Yeah.
1431 is the same thing.
Yeah.
It's not that far, but I guess the only thing about 1431 is that, like, there's parts of it that are very populated with, like,
Yes.
cities and shit. So
Yes.
you
Stuck
kind
behind
of
cars and shit.
you get stuck behind
Oh,
cars. There's
absolutely.
cops. State troopers are
I
out
rode
there.
on it too, right?
Yeah, that's the one we wrote. Me,
And
you,
I was like
Brad.
panicking the whole time.
Yeah, you were pissed.
Dude, y'all fucking left me
He was
way the fuck
pissed.
behind, dude. And I'd only been riding for like 2 weeks.
I don't
and
know where y'all were going. I'm like, this road goes straight, dude.
Yeah, well, I didn't know how far
It goes
straight.
like this.
Yeah, I didn't know how far straight we were supposed to go.
He's just like, yeah, we're gonna turn and just leave him like he doesn't know. You know what I mean?
Man.
I really
But-
thought y'all would.
I don't know, man. There's probably lots of like little areas that are probably dope, but I mean, like we were talking about earlier, like right here in between Dallas and Waxahachie, there's a nice little road that goes. But I mean, is it a road that, like, you're like,
It
hey,
doesn't go
dude,
anywhere.
we're all coming to Texas to hit this road? No, it's just convenient for us down the street now. But 1431, I would say, is the same thing. It's not. It's a cool road if you're in Austin. But would
not
I
something to go
would I
fucking
go there for
ride
it?
out there just
That's
to
why
go
I want
do
to
it.
see that that Twisted Sisters ride, and I want to go
Yeah.
right through Big Bend and see what that shit's about. Because maybe that is more of a kind of like, it's a set trip to take to go check this road out.
Well, see, and that's me too. So like the tail of, what is it, Tail of the Dragon?
Tail of the Dragon. I rode it. I didn't like it.
Tennessee.
Yeah.
See,
I'm his
I don't
worst
get
critic.
I don't get hooked up on the hype. So like
That's a hype highway for
like
sure.
1431 was fun as shit, and then Talamina fun as shit. But then there's other ones that like so I've got friends that have done the Three Sisters or whatever, and they said it's just another road. Like I think Gary was the one we were talking to one day, and he's like, it's cool, but it's just, unless you're going, it's exactly what you just said, unless you're going somewhere that's along that
Pass.
not
Yeah.
worth
path, it's
going.
not worth dropping everything and saying, oh, we're gonna go do the Three Sisters.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like, you brought up the Tail of the Dragon, which I wrote it and I was there, and there was something very connected to the culture of motorcycle. Like, you feel that when you're
Right.
there, especially in the cafe that's at the end or beginning, depending on which way you go.
Yeah.
You feel like, fuck, like, this is the most motorcycle friendly thing I've ever been a part of, other than like a Sturgis or something. But this was really cool. Now, the road itself is twisty as a motherfucker, but
Too bad. Too twisted.
to me, it was just all quick ones, like
it's
laying back and forth. Like, you really
sport
don't
bike.
get out of first or second gear. And to me, I didn't enjoy it as much because I was on the FXR. It just didn't quite. I personally like the more high speed cornering,
like the sweepers and
Sweepers,
shit.
yeah.
Me
Well,
too.
1431, where it's like you can go 100 around a corner.
Dude, I
and you're
fucking
like,
love Ovilla Road.
Yeah.
I fucking
That's just
tear
left, right. That's literally. Like,
but it's like perfectly placed.
Yeah.
And the turns themselves are all like 30 miles an hour turn, but all the roads are so fucking nice, and there's not typically that many people on there, so I can literally go through that whole thing going, dude, fucking.
What I told everybody,
80 miles an hour.
and we just had some of this conversation this weekend with somebody, but the foothills of the Smoky Mountains, I had some of the best time. Now those roads are a lot sketchier because some of them are like neighborhood, like not neighborhoods, but like there are residents on the road.
Yeah, so they
like
can pull out on you and shit.
Well, not even that. Like when they pull out of their driveways, because it's like rural, it's like gravel and dirt. So you'll be hitting a corner
so
or right into it.
everywhere?
Yeah, and there'll be
Might
like
be
a
gravel.
dirt patch right there. So you kind of can't like blaze through it without any kind of care in the world. But I enjoyed it because it was more sightseeing, and there wasn't a bunch of people on it.
Yeah, and I think there's different shit. Like some roads are just nice roads to ride, and it doesn't like then they're in the middle of nowhere where it's like you don't give a fuck what's going on around it. Like there's nothing cool to look at.
Yeah.
But the road itself is dope, and I think that's.
Well, you have those roads where it's like there's a scenic aspect to it.
I like scenic shit.
So like riding PCH is scenic, right? You do a lot of in and out like curves, but there are a lot of sweepers too.
Yeah.
And
See,
but there's so much to look at. You're not trying to race through it.
You don't give a
Right.
fuck about hauling ass. If I'm on a bike and I'm going through a scenic route, I'm gonna be looking at the scenery.
Yeah.
That's like how
Obvious.
Talamina was for a lot of us. It was like, hey, let's take in, you're up there.
Yeah, you're basically riding on the top of a mountain ridge.
Yeah.
Or
That's probably.
which we would call mountains in
Yeah.
Oklahoma, I guess.
Yeah. I don't know, man. I feel like if I want to ride, like if I want to have a good time riding, I'm going to go and do a road that's like, in some ugly neighborhood that's like, I know is clear, but it's fun as fuck. But like scenery is a different thing. I don't give a fuck about trying to go out there and haul ass,
Yeah, well, that's kind of what we were saying is like, especially like I've ridden a lot of the canyons through, even the parts that's on fire right now in, Cali. Poor guys.
Yeah, dude, it's fucked up over there.
Was it Topanga Canyon or something like that? That shit's fucking dope. And that shit's crazy because it's right there. Like, these dudes can, like, on their way to work. Well, maybe not on the way to work, but, it could be an afternoon ride just to rip down those roads. And then even, like, from Ventura to, like, Santa Barbara, there's some badass mountain roads that are sick as fuck. And so, like, there's just a lot of cool shit out there. But also at the same time, like, I only go hard on corners that I ride a lot. Right, like if I'm just cruising through this on a bike trip across country, I ain't trying to scrape my pegs through that shit, man. I ain't,
What the fuck am I trying to prove right now?
I'm just enjoying the ride. So there is like, I don't know which one of us kind of brought that up, but there totally is two different experiences of riding really good roads, and I think that some of it might be the road itself, and some of it might be what you're seeing on that road.
I think the most fun I can have riding is on a like Oakville road. Like I said, like it's comfortable. I know where all the I know where everything's at, and I know. The traffic
it goes
pattern.
straight. It's your typical like carving out like pastures or
Right,
farmland
going between
So it's
farm.
like you go straight and then you turn left to go and then you go
Around
right
somebody's
and then
property
you go
line.
left and you go right.
That's all it is.
And
but
the only difference is like some of the corners are more sweepers and some of them are more
Right.
tighter. So
yeah, and I mean I'm just using it as a fucking example.
It's
so,
your reference.
Pin
Your
me on
point
a
of
cross and
reference.
fuck me over.
no, I'm
right?
just saying like you're talking about it like people are gonna be like, oh, I gotta check this Ovilla Road out.
Where is this Oval
Well, I mean
Road?
it's like a
Google
12-minute
Maps.
stretch. That's it.
And you're probably gonna get stuck behind somebody.
But I ride it every day, just
We
going
got
to
stuck behind people on
Mastercraft.
1431 too.
Yeah.
I mean, you can fucking go past them. Duh.
Sometimes
Sometimes.
when you're in a corner after corner after corner, it's hard to get past cars unless they pull off.
Like there was
Or
a
you just
truck.
go in the other
There was a
lane.
truck in front of us on Talamina, and it cut quite a bit of that up. Like you can't
It's almost easier just to like pull over and let
let
it
them go for a while.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyways, like I was saying,
Yeah.
my point.
Now we're even.
He got you.
Ba-dum-dum. Well, the point is. Well, I fucking forgot the point, so
Yeah, no point.
I don't even remember what I was saying.
But I guess there's some decent rides in Texas, but there's probably some very like a lot more scenic ones, and there's some that are just probably like really challenging as far as like hitting corners.
Yeah, the roads you can have the most fun on are the like back roads around your area that you're comfortable with and
Yeah.
because you can fucking scrape peg on those and you're not giving a fuck. That was my point. I think so. I think I made
was
that point
not
like
worth
4 or
coming
5
up.
times. Yeah,
That's
said that.
all good.
I think we said that 3 times.
third time's the charm, dude.
Hey man, that's all that counts.
Hey man, for those people that weren't paying attention,
That's right. re-inspecting and inspecting.
Yeah, because I mean we've been going on for 2.5 hours.
That's really not that long.
Dude, it feels like we've been in here for all day.
Well, I have been in here all day. Jace has.
Mm-hmm.
It's called working.
Yeah.
You guys work?
Not me.
We can afford to go get another Monster right now, and you can't.
Hey-o.
It's because people owe me money and they haven't paid me.
People owe me money and they haven't paid me.
Me too.
I almost had a fucking lowrider paint set for sale. Had to call him up today. Like, hey, dude, it's been a
I
week
can't
since you
believe
said
he
you paid me.
still has not done that.
Yeah. Trying, man. I'm trying to be a good guy.
I'm trying to be a good man.
People just don't understand all the hardships us custom painters go through, man. It's really hard.
Dude, being self-employed is fucking rough.
The word, I guess being self-employed is great for a lot of things, but it's really hard. And if you start it the right way, like Mark, he did it right. He started off his business doing everything right, like doing taxes, paying himself the correct way, not splurging on shit, and he did it all right. So he doesn't have any bad habits. Me, I was a fucking kid that wanted nice shit, and as soon as I got enough money to afford some nice shit, I was like, fuck everything else. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
that's what I'm.
So now I'm trying to break habits and like be more responsible.
So hard right now.
Yeah.
Because it's like, I'm about to move out and get an apartment and shit, and then what?
Really?
What are you talking about?
I'm just fucking with you. You move out?
That's his mad face. Like,
yeah.
you triggered it. Hashtag.
No, because I'm about to move out and get an apartment and shit. But now that I've been doing this shit for like 2 months now, just on my own, hopping around from shop to shop, it's like some fucking weeks you make way more than what you would working for somebody, and then some weeks you don't make anything at all.
You learn to ration
and so
yourself.
You need to ration, and that is something I'm not used to.
One thing I used to do, and I think it helped me out a lot, is that a lot of people that do work for themselves, they don't have the same drive to make money when they have money.
Yep.
Yeah,
so
it's definitely an issue.
And the other thing is, like, when people depend on you to, like say for instance, like if you have multiple shops you're painting for, right? Mm-hmm. Well, those shops depend on you to be their painter, right? So if all of a sudden you can't deliver or take care of them or whatever, then you're undependable. And so even though like you might not need it at the time, the money or the opportunity.
Well, yeah, I mean, anytime somebody asks me if I can come in and do a job, I always immediately tell them, like, if I can't do it that day, then I'm like, tomorrow. Like, I'll be there first thing in the morning, because I understand that part. I understand the dependability. And you're building a relationship with the shop and, the owners and shit like that. So I feel like that's
that
very
and the fact
important.
that everybody has to realize that the end result is the person that's hiring you to do something is trying to make money off what you're doing.
Yeah. So if you're not doing it fast enough or correctly, then you're not worth being hired.
If you're only thinking about the money that you're making off the deal, then it doesn't make you as dependable or valuable to that person.
Yeah, I feel that. It's just like trying to fucking my biggest issue, and I'm fucking so much better now than I was like this time last year, but it's just like trying to save money. And like last year, dude, it was like every time there's a trip or anytime you guys were doing anything, I was fucking there, and I was like, let's fucking do it. I'm spending all this money, I don't give a fuck, da-da-da. And then this year I tried to do that, and I made it about halfway through the year before I started maxing out credit cards and shit, and I was like, you know what, I just need to like chill out and be my age for a little bit, like I can't really afford to hang out with all you old fucks, because y'all got y'all's lives together and shit, and I'm still over here staying at my mom's house. So I finally started kind of putting shit back, and I'm getting used to saving, and like, when I see that I have $600, I don't go and spend $600. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
As opposed to,
I mean, think about all the stories you talked about were the ones that today.
Yeah, were the ones that from last year.
Yeah. Because
last year, dude, it's like I'm gonna have a great life, yes, but I'm not gonna get anywhere if I keep doing shit like that.
Look at me. I'm
look at me.
I'm one more shitty obstacle away from tattooing soldier across my eyebrow.
Man, I want to figure out how to live
full chopper.
Yeah, I just want to figure out how to live as cheaply as possible. Like that's kind of what I want to do.
Yeah.
And I want to remain like self-employed. I want to figure out how to maximize the money with like the least amount of effort, not like laziness, but like how to make more money without.
Well, when you're self-employed, the only way to make it work is you have to work more than you would if you were employed by somebody.
But yeah, obviously, but I mean, like, be smart about it. What I'm trying to say is I'm not going to spend the rest of my life slaving away doing some dumb shit. I'm going to do what I can to figure out how to make more money but have free time.
Work smarter, not harder.
Yeah.
Well,
because
I think
my entire life, all I've ever done is work harder, and then I go and play harder because I feel like I deserve it, and that's what fucks me.
Well, I think that the the best statement ever is like, you know, you got to learn in your 20s and earn in your 30s and live in your 40s. So
Yeah.
unfortunately, I think that if you go hard enough in your 20s, then you can live in your 30s.
Exactly.
You know?
Yeah, and I totally believe that, but I'm not saying I don't want to go hard. I'm saying I want to figure out the best way to do this to make it the most profitable without totally fucking breaking my fucking back, you know?
Well, right now you have a back that can handle it. And so if you don't do it now, you might not have the stamina
I've been doing it.
or the ability to do it when you're in your 30s. Like the thing that I've been realizing lately is like, say for instance, the drinking. Like when I first started drinking a lot, man, I could go fucking hard as fuck and still go have sex with my chick or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Not anymore. 12 pack in, I'm not doing nothing.
Night.
Night. You know what I mean? The next day, I feel myself, even though like I don't consider myself 36 anymore, or I don't feel like I'm old or whatever, but I do feel every once in a while like I used to. You were here. We used to be able to work till 2 a.m.
I can't even do that now.
and be back over here at fucking 9 a.m. ready to do it
Yeah,
again.
and we were fucking.
I can't do that shit no
dude,
more.
I can't fucking do that either right now. That's the thing, man. I feel like
My fault. Right now.
No,
Here we
man.
go.
It's like
I
I
heard
did
it.
that shit.
Insert my fault.
I
Right now.
already
heard
did
it.
that shit, man.
It's
It's
because of
like I don't
Jason
want
I'm in
to
this
fucking
point.
do that again. Fuck that. Nothing in this world do I want more than to not do that. You know why? Because there's nothing materialistic that I am so infatuated with.
Well,
that
it's
I
not.
need.
It's not materialistic. It's about coming through for your customers and being there to handle.
Yeah, and that's
their
exactly what it
deadlines.
was. But I'm saying, I want to figure out how to make money without fucking myself that way, because that's the biggest downfall to every entrepreneur that I've ever met. Is they
that's-
fucking make so much time for everybody else and they fuck themselves mentally, and then they end up to where you're at, where you're like, I gotta drink this beer, otherwise I'm gonna fucking kill somebody. These fucking faggots.
So,
you know,
why are you drinking beer then?
I'm drinking
I
beer.
have a reason.
Well, you have a reason to
Learn-
drink beer,
learn-
but
learn
I
in your
also,
20s.
I mean, like, I still have problems. I still have issues.
Yeah, everybody
it's
does.
not. It's not like saying you can't say that nobody has issues because they're younger.
No.
Sometimes
You know what
you
I mean?
just got to lose yourself at the moment.
The moment you own it.
Yeah,
Gotta
and you
never
never let it go. Dude, okay.
I think it's harder for people that are investing a lot of their time in something that doesn't pan out, and not to like be joking on like the music stuff or anything like that, but if that doesn't work out, then you're gonna be like in a way worse situation later on.
I don't see how it would.
Well, because
pan
this is
out
the time
badly
right
for
now
me.
that you have energy to learn something, because it's going to take, like Marcus said, it's going to take years of doing something like on a professional level, not fucking off in
Not
a
just growing
shop,
up
just
in
hey,
it,
sand
yeah.
this tank, like really doing this for a living. So
And that's
you
what
said
I just started that journey. I literally just
so
started
you're
2
just
months ago.
starting that journey now, so you have years that you have to invest.
But
in
you
it.
have to think, I've also, like, you can't discredit the fact that I have grown up in this.
Yes,
what I
but
mean?
you know,
I'm much further ahead right now than most people my age. Not maybe like I don't live on my own type shit, but I mean like skill wise. A lot of these motherfuckers out here my age don't have any skills, but they have a $14 an hour
yeah,
job.
but you can't live your life like comparing yourself to other people your age, because
You're only worth your own self-worth.
I'm just using it right now as a reference. I don't go through my life.
I look at
comparing
it like
myself.
I've worked in body shops before, and I've seen, you know, some guy come in as a helper that doesn't know shit, but is like he lives for this shit because he knows it's a way he can make money. And within 2 or 3 months, he's like, you know, next thing you know, he's cutting in cars and, you know, base coating under hoods and all this shit. Next thing you know, a year later, he's a head painter because he applied himself, like we were talking about earlier in this podcast, about, you know, immersing yourself with what you're doing to become one of the best at it. You know, some people do that, and some people are looking at their job in their 20s as their career, and that changes things as opposed to just doing their job and then spending all their time investing in other things that don't pan out, is what I'm saying. So I'm not saying don't do the music. I'm not saying don't do that. I'm just saying, like, be mindful.
Well, I'm forever going to do the music because that's the only way that I can function. I mean, honestly.
I will tell you right now.
I'm
and
so strung out with fucking anxiety and depression. Like, I fucking talk about it. Like, I mean, every kid says that. You know, everybody my age says that. But, like, that's a real fucking issue, man. And it's like, I don't talk about it enough on my shit. Like, everybody struggles from it, but some are different than others. You know, and I feel like that music is, like, my way to get away from it.
But wouldn't it
It also plays into it sometimes, though.
Yeah, I was gonna say if it doesn't pan out or you don't get the response that you want,
it doesn't
out
matter
of it,
though because
yeah.
I got a good one. I got you.
okay.
Now, in the light of if it doesn't pan out, yes, is it going to suck? Absolutely. I, out of high school, was in a band. From high school through 08. So 4 or 5 years of my life. So for that 4 or 5 years, I did everything was music. Everything was this, everything was that. I toured, did all that shit, was in a band, have albums, shit like that. Like, that was my life. So when that ended, that portion of my life that I learned a lot of shit from became a segue to how I live my life now. Like, I learned a lot of shit back then. Do I ever step away from that and completely separate myself from that? Absolutely not.
Because it's now melded in with who you are.
Right.
Mentally.
That's a part of who I am in my growth.
It's going to change the way that you look at, situations that aren't even related to it.
Exactly.
But and I see that, and but for me, like the whole music aspect, I know how to produce it. That's the difference.
Yes, you have the ability to.
Motherfuckers can play guitar and rap and sing all day, but they can't make their own beats. They're spending money.
I think that your ability to produce things is more valuable in markets like this and other things.
And that's what I'm saying.
But you don't apply yourself to those.
Is because I'm still focused on all this shit.
That's where that developmental part comes in.
Yeah, I mean, this podcast sounds good, and it started because of your music stuff. So I'm not discrediting that, but what I'm saying is that
I'm gonna put it. I'd put it like this: is regardless of the skills that I've developed or the ability to do whatever I can, I've taught myself to sing. I taught myself how to play guitar. I taught myself how to do this shit out of my bedroom. Every fucking song that I have is made in my bedroom. Produced by nobody else but me. You know what I mean?
So you're like me, but I was a painter and I had to do everything myself. Yeah,
exactly. And I learned
That's how
all
I turned
of
this around to be about me again.
Yeah, and I learned all the steps. So regardless, at the end of the day, whether any of this fucking makes a fuck at all, if anybody ever gives a shit that I ever made music or whatever, it doesn't matter, because honestly, like, I have a great fucking time doing it. And it helps me cope with my problems and my issues. Because like you said, you're like, oh man, I don't have time to fucking play golf, so I want to drink or whatever. Like, that's your thing. Well, like, drinking is now becoming a part of my thing too. But
the one biggest thing between me and you and our differences of growing up is when I was growing up with our mom and stuff, like, we moved a lot. We moved a lot because of financial reasons, and we had ups and down struggles. We constantly lived with our grandparents. And then so for me growing up, when I got to a certain age, like, I wanted consistency in life, and so that only was going to come through successful working. And I had a kid that depended on me, so I didn't have the ability to invest my time in something that wasn't going to pay for the livelihood of me and my daughter. And
I think one of the big differences between me and you, though, is that you didn't grow up being aware of who you were and your problems and things that bothered you, because you were so focused on doing things in your life. Like,
so I didn't have problems. I didn't have depression because I had a purpose.
Because my
purpose was to get through life and take care of my responsibilities.
But on the other end of the spectrum, I'm very subconscious and self-conscious of what's going on.
The only time that I've actually felt, I guess, I wouldn't say the word depressed, because I don't really think I've ever really been there. I would question things was when I didn't have anything else to strive towards with the paint industry. Like my job, like something I've invested the last 15 years of my life. Like, what next? Like yes, I could keep trying to be better.
Depression for me is more physical. Like, I'll wake up and it doesn't matter if I'm motivated to do something. I can't get up, man. I don't want to. I've laid in bed for 2-3 hours at a time. I'll wake up in the morning and I'll just stay on my phone, and then I'll think, like, what's the fucking point? Like, you get stuck in your own shit, you're in your own problems, and then that's depression. And then you throw in anxiety, which is like it's like, while you're trying to do it all, you're thinking in your head, like, why does it matter? And then you're like, well, what if it does? And then you start overthinking shit, and then you get the overthinking part of the anxiety, and then you just get very overwhelmed. Your mind gets too loud, like,
and that's where what he's saying makes sense at the same time as what you're saying makes sense.
And I feel like me and him are one and the same.
Right. You find ways to motivate yourself in a way that you don't think about that shit. And you do it. You do it with your music. You do it with paint. You have to find a way to catch your niche one way or the other that fulfills that need to have that anxiety or that stress or that depression.
For the most part, cured myself of most of my mental ailments, mostly because of the fact that you start living a life where you don't have time necessarily to think about that, or you forget about it.
So if you have a job to do,
No.
You find something
or
to
obligations or motivating things.
It's not things that are. It's okay. It's not things that would be boring. Say you would come here and you.
Yeah, but what is boring? Like if you talk to somebody that finds.
Well, if you do this shit 4 times every day, like if you come up here and you start standing, that's boring. No matter what, I don't care who you are.
I understand that standing's not fun, but
the problem.
When I was
this is the same way This is the same way that I had to quit smoking. You have to entertain you have to confuse yourself. You can't sit down and say I'm not going to smoke and then expect not to want a cigarette. It's the same way with depression. You can't sit down and say I'm not depressed and then not be depressed.
Well, I think that, going back to your reference on sanding and doing some of the more mundane jobs that are involved in this, it's about the perspective in which you're looking at your task at hand.
Well, yeah.
You can either take that task at hand and look at it as like this is stupid and again and again and again, or you can challenge yourself to how much better you can do it each time.
And so the difference in that.
Yeah, and the only way to actually, and I mean that's exactly what I was telling Saxon. I was like, look at this tank. Like, how perfect can you sand this down? Like, I know that in this grand scheme of like the finished product, no one's really going like that shit was sanded slick. No one's saying that, but how it's so important, and you have to have those little goals.
Whenever you wake up in the morning, what is the first thing that typically comes into your head?
I need to get to work.
Okay. And that's the difference. Is like some people don't wake up with that thought.
Well, that's because of my responsibilities that I have. I don't look at life like I have the time to like. It's everything is a responsibility. I'm not saying that I don't have my ups and downs, but you have to understand like there's a responsibility to doing this podcast every fucking week or every chance I get. There's a responsibility to the people who chose me to work on their products, and they're sitting on the shelf waiting on me.
I find it really hard to believe that you just wake up and you're just gung ho about doing everything.
You have to be.
Well, I
don't have a choice.
You're fucking ignorant to your own. That was my beginning point. You're ignorant to your own problems.
But I found something, and
you choose to believe that you're fine.
But I am happy.
But that's the point.
And that's you also the other side of the coin, like what you're saying.
You get yourself to a point where you don't think about those things.
Yes.
You don't think about it, and you don't worry about it, because once you stop worrying about it, it'll go away.
And that's the two faces I'm trying to show you, is that this shit isn't something that.
Well, I know what you're saying to me.
Yeah.
But you're trying to prove to me that it's okay for you to be that way.
No, I'm not trying to play victim at all.
And I'm trying to say that you need to find things that motivate you.
No, fuck no. I'm not saying I'm depressed currently. I mean, I have my ups and downs, just like you said. I'm trying to say that there is two sides of this coin, and sometimes whenever God willing, I don't know why, but like especially during the winter, I feel it. Like it just hits you, and it's out of nowhere. You don't think about it. You're not thinking about it. You're living your fucking life. It's just like anxiety, like my whole ALS thing, all that shit. It hits me every so often. I'll be sitting down and I'll do something and I'll drop something. And I'm like, fuck, like is this it? But it's nothing. But it creeps its way back in your life without you thinking about it.
Well, I guess, and it's going to like a tribalism mentality of obviously we all listen to a lot of Joe Rogan and we hear those conversations. That for me, like I was explaining to you, it was a responsibility to have a place to live and have food and to put food in my daughter's mouth. So I didn't have a chance to just be like, throw my hands up or not want to go to work or not do these things, because it wasn't just me that was laying there, and you don't have kids.
That just makes
you don't have responsibility.
Yeah.
If you stayed in bed all month, what's the worst that'll happen? Your phone will get cut off. I'll
lose my bike, my phone will get cut off, there's a lot of shit that'll happen.
That's true.
But that's not that's not the point.
You'll still have a roof, you'll still have food, because our family's here.
You get into the idea that your existence is fucking pointless.
Well, that's because you have to make your existence.
Yeah, and that's the problem, is once it gets you, you can't. you have to find a way out of it first, and then you start fighting with it instead of becoming something. You're instead of moving forward, you are now wallowing.
I get certain areas like I'm not saying that I understand all this, and I understand like things like this, but I understand that the older you get, and I've said this before, the simplistic things that might happen to you in your 20s, like lose a job or a breakup, especially when you're invested 20 years into a person, those things can be like very life altering to where the change is so substantial that it could put you in a depression that I understand. I'm not saying I understand like, okay, this makes sense to kill yourself or anything like that, but I'm saying like, man, you know, some of the setbacks that I've had this year, like, I'm not saying I've ever had suicidal thoughts or anything, but I'm like, fuck, man, like this is really difficult. But I've also looked at like another perspective of looking at the accomplishments I've had in a year's time or the things that I know how to do, and I'm like, no matter how deep I find myself in life, I've acquired
but you have
skills.
confidence in yourself as opposed to somebody who, there's some people that don't have that, man, and you'll never understand that, period.
Well, but I mean,
if you wake up and you doubt yourself the first thing, then everything just becomes that much harder, and you become your own enemy. You become, in your head, you're like, dude, I gotta go to work, I gotta do this, I have to fucking make something of myself, and you know that. But then you're like,
so I guess the hard part, I guess maybe the more cynical part of me, or the huge asshole of me is like, why cater to that person, and why is that person so special? Why do we need to like watch our P's and Q's around someone that's not trying hard enough or not dealing with things?
Because who's to say they're not trying hard enough? How do you know? That's the thing. Why can't, like, you don't know what they go through.
I don't, but they don't know what I go through.
They might fucking go home and fucking, stare at a gun every night and just think about it. And they might go home and their fucking wife yells at them, calls them a piece of shit because they're not doing this, just like their fucking dad used to do to them when they were growing up, and that just fucking triggers them, Yeah. There's so many fucking, like, things that humans overlook to other humans that you have no right to say whether or not what they did was right.
Well, I'm not saying it's right. I'm just saying why is it?
They're not worth it, because
why is the world catering to a person
something
like
that might be a skip for you is a fucking leap for somebody else because of their own issues. You know what I mean?
Everybody has their own challenges. Everybody has their own boundaries. It's all about breaking down a wall that creates that issue for you.
So I guess my point would be, like, regardless of anything, man, you should always just fucking assume that everybody's trying their best, regardless.
Or,
of what you
I mean,
see.
why not be the guy? Why not be the guy when someone's telling me about how shitty their relationship is? Leave her. Shitty their job is. Quit. Shitty their life is. Change it.
No, I agree with that.
Why?
100%.
You know what I mean? Like, why not just be that way and then no nonsense, no bullshit? Because
I totally
the other
agree
person,
with that.
maybe the person that is depressed or having a hard time, it's like they tell you that, and they're reaching out to you.
They're looking for somebody to say.
That's exactly what they're doing, and that's what I'm saying, man. Don't knock it. Don't knock it.
I'm not knocking it.
If somebody reaches out to you, don't knock them.
Yeah, I'm not gonna knock it, but I'm gonna tell them, like, fucking quit.
Yeah,
fucking leave.
But
fucking
also, like, people are too sensitive, especially if they're depressed. Then you already know they're sensitive. So
this world cannot survive on sensitive bitches everywhere. Motherfuckers need to either
sensitive
man the fuck
motherfuckers
up.
make a lot of good shit though.
Like what? Problems like
music,
make cisgenders,
movies, entertainment, art. Sensitive motherfuckers make the world go around, dude.
I'm not trying to be a guy that's saying that having all this stuff is bad or anything, but I will just say that, like, it's hard out here for everybody, and some of us are. Everybody's fighting a hard battle, right?
Some people are pulling more weight than others.
So why is it someone that's figuring it out has to, like, be so P's and Q's around people that aren't? I guess
just out of respect for them.
I guess the thing is, like you said, I mean, being fair is like, who knows what the other person's doing?
Yeah,
we grew up in a world that was not sensitized to certain aspects. We grew up in a world that you could say whatever the fuck you wanted, and they were either going to take it or they were going to leave it.
Yeah.
Now people are growing up in a world that's so PC and so analytical that everybody analyzes everything that someone says, and everything gets crossed off or rechecked or brought back up, because now we are in a market where everybody is recorded in one way, shape, or form. Everybody's thoughts and comments. We have Instagram and Facebook, and people will go back and, well, you said this time, but now you're saying this. People change their fucking mind. Like, people have different outlooks.
I do that a lot.
People have different issues. Like, now we live in a world now that's so sensitized that you and I didn't grow up in that shit.
Yeah.
Like, I got fucking thrown to the wolves. So did you. It's like, do your shit or flop.
Yep. Had an apartment as a junior in high school.
And we're now...
Yeah. And now as the suicide rates are flying through the roof and the fucking... Every fucking kid is on anxiety medications and every other kid is on ADHD pills.
Well, like I said...
I think everybody's a little fucked because of the fact that nobody catered to everybody else's emotions at the same time.
Yeah, but no, that's not true, because why didn't we end up like that?
Because you guys are on the other spectrum, because that's what I'm saying.
Now it's gotten to the point where the people who are growing up in this day and age have the problem of that.
No, you guys are fucked up and you're fucking up your children and your children are fucked. That's what I'm saying. Is because you guys are so emotionally unavailable that the children are now reaching for something. They're looking for somebody to fucking care.
You grew up with the same mom I did.
Yeah, she never gave a fuck about me.
Are you kidding?
She doesn't. No,
You're fucking queer.
No. She loves me. Like, I know she loves me, but she doesn't give a fuck about my what I'm doing, and that's what I mean.
My parents didn't give a fuck about what I was doing.
My dad is unavailable. My mom is unavailable. I don't have anybody to talk to. You know what I mean? Like, you don't have anybody to communicate with, and that's the difference.
We can get to that point. My dad, the day I graduated from high school, my father moved to Massachusetts.
And it's like sometimes I'm thinking like, man, maybe my whole generation is just a bunch of pussies. Like, maybe.
That's totally that.
But also, I think that you guys do play a huge role in the fact that, like, for your children, if you're not emotionally available and you don't teach them how to communicate, then you're fucking them. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but are you looking at the same people though? Because watching Jace with the kids at all.
Well, I'm not saying. Well, I'm not saying. No,
it's not attacking. It's not saying like us in general, but I'm saying like us as a generation, like our generation of parents, like you and I and Jetty and all the other guys.
I'm in the same generation with y'all.
Right. No, I'm saying.
But
let's not get the millennials conversation going.
No, I am in the same generation.
So anyway,
fuck you guys.
What I'm saying is, if you lump everyone into that category and you say, well, it's because you guys lived in such a desensitized era that now that's why everyone nowadays is fucked up. No, it's not. It's because everyone has become such pussies about what's going on in the world that everybody's like, oh, I just want to blame somebody. I want to point at somebody for my fucking problems.
See,
when really,
what if it's as simple as this?
I don't see it as it's people blaming problems. I see it as people blame themselves and they can't handle it.
Exactly. That's exactly what it is. People can't handle it themselves, so they reach for someone.
When I'm drunk and I'm sad and you know what it is? I'm mad at myself. I don't get fucking mad at you guys.
Right.
I get mad at me because I said dumb shit. I hate myself. I start getting angry with myself.
Well, I did that this weekend.
And that's
I'm fine.
I know, and I'm not saying I myself am like some pussy bitch. No, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying I fucking defend those people that are, because I understand where I'm empathetic with them.
I feel like if shit hit the fan in this world right now, y'all would be the ones that we're gonna trip while we're running, because that shit. This world is very, very hard. I can't express that enough, and there's just not enough fucking resources to go around for people that have all these. I'm gonna get crucified for this shit, but
yeah, you are.
I just don't. I think that maybe there's so much shit out there to help people that need help, right?
Yeah.
But at some point, like it's hard, man. It's hard. It really is hard, and it doesn't get easier.
Pathways and different issues.
People just gotta fucking. They need to find something and pursue it. Whether it's painting, even if it isn't about making money, just find something that challenges your mind, and try it. And at some point, man, like, I don't think it's parents' fault, because I think that my mom did fine. I think my mom did a great job at showing me what the world was like. Now, I think that you grew up in a much more structured household than I grew up. So you got to have complaints about life that weren't really complaints.
What do you mean?
So, in my opinion, like, say for instance, Britta's on Britta's side of the family.
Did you grow up with kids in your neighborhood?
Yeah.
I didn't. Did you grow up with kids grow up lonely now, man.
Well, I grew up with kids in different neighborhoods, so I had to make new friends a lot. So I had the challenge of making myself likable. I was in that
neighborhood where there's not a kid around for miles. You know what I mean? And then I met some kids.
The people that grow up that have the least things to worry about have the most problems. So Britta, her cousins that were rich, like good money cousins, seem to have depression issues, but they've never had that worry.
Time to sit and think.
Well, that's what I'm getting at. That's what I'm trying to get here. Is that the more people that don't have real struggles and real shit to figure out in life have time to just sit here and bitch about everything else and say that that's the reason why their life sucks, because my mom was working so hard to give me a nice life.
Yeah.
Realistically, like how you're damn. And then let's talk about parents now. Parents have the fucking worst rap, because if you don't provide for your kids, you're a piece of shit in the system's eyes. If you do provide and you can't be there every fucking step of the day, then your kid's a piece of shit, because you know what I mean? They're trying to kill themselves and telling counselors, and now you gotta, like, it's just a fucking shitty situation to be in.
It's a catch-22 regardless of what you do, because no matter if you
you're gonna get crucified no matter what.
If you overcompensate for being a parent, then you're babying your kids. Or if you're not there every step of the way, you're an asshole because you're not there. It's exactly what you just said. And like, I try to find that fine line, because my kids are still young, like 4 to 9. Like, they're still impressionable.
Dude, I'm dealing with that shit with my daughter. That's why I took her to Cali. I wanted to show her how big this world is and how much opportunity there is if you just make some fucking goals for yourself in life.
That definitely changed my life.
Your world is as big as you can make it.
Yeah.
So if you make your world inside your little town and inside your little bubble, you're only ever going to live inside that bubble or inside that little town.
As soon as I started traveling, a lot of my problems just gone.
Well, okay, Daniel, this makes sense, right? Because most of the people I do know that had in our eyes, or at least mine, because I don't know 100% about your childhood, my eyes, the people that had it better than me are the ones that have problems, and the people that struggled, just like I did, are the ones that are more level-headed, because they have a more fight or flight kind of mentality.
Absolutely. Because, this gets into that conversation, because the people who didn't have the haves and the have-nots, that's what it basically comes down to. The people who had to fight for what they want, and the people who just were given everything as a kid or as an adult or a young adult or whatever. But you have the have and the have-nots. The have-nots are always going to work 10 times harder, because it's not just handed to them. And
yeah, I mean, like, all this is fucking with a grain of salt, because
absolutely.
like Jetty's a great example. Jetty's life was pretty good, but Jetty made a lot of shitty decisions, and he turned his life around. But he grew up in and I guess from what he's told me, a better household. With the dad that had his shit together and gave him things, or gave him the opportunity to work for it. But it's just different strokes and stuff. But like I said, I feel like the more people I meet, especially the younger generation, I'm talking like maybe younger than you.
I think I'm just a little more empathetic towards it, because I can't even count on two hands now how many friends I have that have killed themselves.
I've had a lot of friends kill themselves too, but like I said, it was on the level of what I just spoke on earlier.
Yeah.
It's being in your 30s and 40s, and shit hits the fan, and you don't know how to
fucking deal with it.
They don't know how to fix all these problems that just all happened at once.
Right.
And
an overabundance of shit just drops on you all at once, and you're like, what the fuck do I do now?
Yeah, that's more of like I call that more of like the physical side, like physical problems that are outside of your body, outside of your mind, outside of yourself. Not
necessarily, because that shit you can implode from that kind of shit.
Well, that's what I mean. Those are outside influences. I mean, I'm talking inside influences, things that's why most kids my age kill themselves, is because of their own problems within themselves that they see. They see their issues and they don't know how to fix them.
Well, do you think that and I would say this, very ignorant comment here, but I would say this. I think that half of them are depressed and feed into their depression because it creates attention for them. And when they do get somebody that's willing to talk to them, they don't want to listen. They don't want to listen to ways that they can make their life better and change things, because one of the hardest things for anybody to do in the world is change something. Like we just talked about earlier, you're in a shitty relationship and you don't want to be there. It's not working out. It ain't going anywhere good.
Right now.
Shut the fuck up. I'm not done. Shit is not going anywhere.
I'm agreeing with you.
It's not going anywhere you want. And the change is scary because you don't know what's on the other end of the change.
I know a bunch of motherfuckers like that, and not one of them have killed themselves. The people that kill themselves are the people who don't talk about it every day. They're not on Facebook saying their life sucks. They're not.
Absolutely.
They're not with their friends having a shitty time. They're doing what we do. They're going out. They're partying. They're hanging out with us. They're having a good time. They're talking about all the shit they want to do. And then one night, they go home
snap.
And they're like, you know what? I can't do this. And then they do it.
Well,
you know what I mean? And those are who I'm talking about.
I'm not saying that I've had those kind of thoughts, but I'm just saying that there's parts in life where it gets overwhelming to where, like, how do you deal with it? I get that.
Yeah.
But at the same time, man, like I said, there's just there you have to be willing if you're gonna, someone that's silently dealing with this, like, to me, like, I'm not saying that's better, but I'm just saying, like, man, like,
fucking
that's
reach out, honestly.
But reach out, and if you're gonna reach out and you're gonna bring it out to the world,
be honest about what's going on.
Listen to people's, some people, like I said, I think that finding ways, or people finding ways to occupy their time, changes everything. I mean, when Britta, I wouldn't say Britta was like super depressive, my wife, but when she started hanging out with all these other chicks, she had shit to do.
Yeah.
She had people to talk about. She had things that were commonly happen all the time, and it became fun for her to have her own thing.
Every single one of those girls, when they started hanging out with each other, it was immediately a difference between all of them. And that's, you say it about Britta, Amanda was the same way. I know Brittany was the same way, James has said. So it's just, you get this chain reaction. And I know, like, I used to go ride around and shit. Like, I had a group of people that I rode around with, but it wasn't like oh, hey, we go, fuck it. It's nothing like what we have now. Yeah. And I think that's something that even...
This is definitely a support group. I mean...
Oh, absolutely. We are a support group inside of ourselves.
For sure. And I totally agree with that. But, I mean, it's not... Like, for me, like, to be, like... personal about my shit, it's like sometimes I still wake up with problems, and I'm not gonna tell you guys. I'm not just gonna be like, hey man, today's...
No, we're totally gonna make fun of you if you do.
I know you guys will, you know what I mean, but I'm
especially
not gonna be
us.
like,
but why is that? I mean, why not? Like, why is it? I just heard on a Joe Rogan podcast today that real close groups of people they fuck with each other. Like, that's how they
no, I fucking 100% enjoy the fuck that we have.
They poke to the point to where you're almost serious, but then if shit goes down, they're there.
Yeah,
like,
and if
hey,
you guys weren't like that, we couldn't be friends because I'm a fucking asshole, and that's just how it is. But
like, we're all that way.
Yeah, we're all that same way. But what I'm saying is, like, personally, that's what the issue is that there's this weird fucking thing that is indescribable.
I guess. I mean, like I said, it's hard.
You just wake up with it sometimes.
It's hard for the world for certain people to sympathize, I guess, because they don't understand it. So we're just supposed, I mean, like me, I don't understand it as much. I've been hearing a lot and reading about it.
Yeah.
So I get that it's real. I get that it's a problem, and I'm not trying to discredit that.
Right.
I'm just saying that maybe there's ways to figure it out, and maybe some people are willing to figure it out, and maybe some people are just wanting the attention that it comes from that. Yeah. I feel like a lot of these younger kids, it's an attention thing, It's like not attention thing like they got depression for this or that, but it's an attention thing that they're not getting, or they feel they should get more, or they're comparing themselves to other people's lives so much that it makes them depressed about what they have or don't have. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's almost like what Chris Callen said about an overabundance of technology,
right,
to where some people are looking for more tactile experiences of hiking and friends without phones on the table and all these types of things that maybe me and he grew up with.
Yeah.
I mean, we grew up. I remember growing up. It was about like, hey man, see if your mom will let you spend the night.
Exactly.
I got a new video game, and let's fucking stay up all night and play it. And then we all fucking fall asleep at 10:30.
All the fucking sheets in the house are like making a fort in your goddamn bedroom because that's what you did. And now we go camping for real.
I did that. Yeah, I grew up into that. And then I remember when I was 13 is when like cell phones and shit was really popping. And that's when I started getting. That's when I got a cell phone. I
didn't have my first cell phone until I was 19 years old. We had this conversation on Saturday while we were working on Jones's bike, and it's like,
when shit was really popping though.
You don't realize how
the world fucking changed.
Well, see, and we became acclimated into it as we were adults. So we were being adults, and
I vaguely remember not having cell phones.
I remember not having cell phones. I remember not having my own phone line. I remember, being out in the middle of the sticks, and because I grew up in the country, so like.
I remember when the rich kids had their own phone line, and you could like click another button like a line. I didn't have that shit. My dad was like, hey, it's fucking home.
Yeah, and then your mom would be sitting there with her hand over the fucking thing, like talking. She's like listening to you talk, and you're like, Mom, hang the phone up.
I can hear the room.
Yeah, I can hear you fucking breathing. How about you hang up the phone? Let me have my conversation. It's about Skittles. Popsicle sticks.
And shit.
Well, you know, like my daughter, like she would, this is the thing that I know when I was a kid, I wish that we had it, was FaceTime, right?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
And then she has it. And I'm like, you're fucking doing it all wrong, right? Like they literally, like my daughter doesn't live with me, otherwise this shit would not be taking place. But basically, she will get on her iPad or her phone with her boyfriend, right? Mm-hmm. Which is another thing I probably would fucking X out until she was old.
Fucking done. Yeah.
she'll literally like just walk around the house with her on it, and he's doing his own thing and she's doing her own thing. They're not even fucking looking at each other, but it's like they're like some
Is that
artificial
not
experience.
fucking creepy?
It's the stupidest thing in the world. And so my daughter had a spill recently, and I was like, you need to change shit.
Yeah.
Like the way you're doing things in life right now has put you in a depressive state.
Mm-hmm.
So if you want to be better, you have to change something that you're
You
doing
need
now.
to be more human.
Well, look at this. Like, put it like this. You're laying in bed every day and you're, looking at this dude on the phone, and he's a part of everything going on. This is now the most important thing in the world to you, right?
Yeah.
Because you're investing, going back to our early conversation about investing your time, you're investing all your time into this person, whether it's like engaging or not. It's just the fact that it's there.
Mm-hmm.
So
It's a security blanket.
you become comfortable knowing that this dude is right here on the end of this phone every time you go home at night when
Yeah.
you're not at school, right? So when they have issues and they break up, it's devastating
Because it's not there anymore.
She's made that so much a part of her life that she doesn't really know what it's like to not have that. And
Yeah.
sometimes that's scary for people to go back to the abyss or the Narnia world of like not knowing what the fuck's gonna come around the corner.
Yeah, that's honestly one of my favorite parts, though, is like the not knowing.
So what happens when cell phones are gone? What happens when the bubble pops? Because it's coming. And this is me being
Do you though?
a fucking
Do you really?
nerd.
Because
but
I don't think it's happening.
if
I
it
think you're
ever,
just some-
it's just bullshit, and it might just be me being paranoid. Not even paranoid, just being a realist. At some point, the bubble will pop, and cell phones or whatever it is will crash, and we will go back to a time like we knew as kids, where you had to write a fucking letter, or learn cursive,
Write a fucking letter.
or something.
I
You had
barely
to
remember
make
how to
a
write
fire.
cursive.
Like, how many people do we know that can make a fucking fire?
I've
Without
just
a lighter.
recently learned how to make fires.
Well, I think that whether or not some catastrophic thing is going to happen,
Yeah.
I don't think that. But I think that what's going to happen is, I think for guys like us that we have had the experience before,
Yeah.
the older we get, like right now, most of us use social media and all this social stuff to help with business and help with growth of a lot of things,
Yeah.
and it's convenient. But I'm a little over it. I'm a little encumbered, or what would the word be?
over encumbered.
Encumbered with this shit to where it's sometimes like I want to check out, but I feel an obligation to do a lot of things on Instagram and Facebook, and I don't even know why the fuck I just started a goddamn Facebook or
you
Instagram
did that,
page
and
for
I was like-
podcasts.
was
But
like, why?
it's like I feel an obligation because people Patreon support this and the sponsors support this, so I feel like I need to do more because that's what I'm used to.
You're proactive.
But there's a big part of me that really wants to separate myself from all this shit, not live in the city, kind of live somewhere secluded to just me, my wife, and close friends, and then come back to this occasionally and like,
and enjoy it actually.
that you're not over. It sucks when like as soon as you get bored, what do? You pick up your phone.
Yep.
And it's like before I had phones, when I got bored, I used to draw. I used to be a different person. And I'm not saying I don't do it now, but now it's much more forced. I have to force myself to do drawing and things like that because of my job or whatever now,
Yeah.
Well, look at the camp out. None of us had fucking service. So what do? I didn't even look at my phone the entire
leave
time
my
we were
phone.
out there. I think I had my phone.
I'm not really attached to my phone that much.
See, and that's me. Like here,
You're fucking attached to swiping left and right. That's what you do.
Hey.
Just when we're hanging out.
just when
Just
I'm hanging
when we're
out with my
hanging out,
friends.
man.
When I'm hanging out with my friends, I like
just
to be on
hanging
Tinder.
out, man. You got any of them red swipes, man?
But no, I think that it's because of how I grew up that I don't give a shit. Like, yeah, I'm on my phone a lot, but that's because it's become something that's
If somebody took my phone from me, I wouldn't care.
Yeah.
That's the thing.
that's the thing.
But I'm
So-
on it because it's here.
Let me ask you this before we go, like a little bit more personal questions about this before we get an hour and a half of non-motorcycle related podcast.
yeah, no
going.
shit.
But how, like, this is something that I've never experienced. I mean, I've experienced like hooking up with chicks on social media, but
Yeah.
not social apps.
yeah.
And does that not make the whole experience less meaningful? I mean, of course, you have
I
fallen in
think
love
I've-
with the last two chicks you fucking swiped on.
Fucking
whatever.
I met my wife
Dude,
on Facebook.
Soulmate. There's
I met my wife
dude, I
on
met my
Instagram,
sexual
but the thing
soulmate.
is, your sexual soulmate,
Sexual
the 19-year-old.
soulmate, the 19-year-old dude.
You want to know something really funny, actually? So Amanda and I lived, I shit you not,
Don't even say down the street.
I'm not kidding.
Because that's where this chick lives.
So,
and she just moved here from Lubbock.
Here you go. So Amanda lived a block. We lived in the country, but she lived with her brother and literally lived around the corner from me for like 15 years.
Knew.
Neither one of us ever fucking knew. So it wasn't until I had gone to Phoenix and come back in 2012 and we had just connected through a mutual friend that it was like, oh shit, we lived like not even a block from each other.
That's crazy. But
what do you think?
To like answer your question though, I don't feel like it demeans it in any way, but then again, like I'm acclimated to this. You know, I grew up fucking meeting chicks on Facebook and shit like that. And then when Tinder came out, it wasn't nothing new. It was just like shit I was already doing on Facebook, but now it's like obviously, you know, it's like purposeful.
There's a big billboard in downtown Dallas, close to my house. It's a Tinder billboard, and it's 3 chicks riding like roller skating. That says "Enjoy the single life, Tinder."
That's fucking gangster as shit, dude.
What?
It's like,
enjoy the single life?
Yeah, it's like hashtag
Tinder?
single life.
Tinder's all about fucking, isn't though?
I get.
Tinder's. I guess that's
it's
what.
Definitely not eHarmony. That's for sure.
Yeah. I don't know, man. Because like, I guess I guess you could say because with Tinder, more often than not, for me, I find like disheveled women, as in. Disheveled as in like their lives are kind of very secluded, like they have jobs that you know aren't very social.
Depressive state.
Yeah, they're depressive state, but they don't want to be a part of anything. So like most of the girls, they're just trying to hook up, but they don't want to act like they're sluts. You know, they say, I'm not just trying to hook up in their bio, but that's all they do.
Yeah, it's funny how like everybody joked or they had paid, like when you're on Pornhub, you see the fucking ad for like fuckswiperite.com or some shit.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's for that, but nobody wants to go on that because they're not hoes.
Exactly.
So they do the Tinder where this gets to be a secret
the Tinder
hoe.
where they can, but like I have met people that I've gotten into relationships with from Tinder, but my most recent one was on Bumble, and Bumble's, I think it's a little newer.
No. Here we go.
So like the type of women on Bumble are more relationship oriented, I guess, but Tinder's definitely a fuck app, like for the most part.
Well, with
but
growing up
what
with
happens
that,
is you fuck somebody and then you guys like actually like accidentally catch feelings and shit, I guess, and then you get to a situationship.
My question is this: is like, how do you know,
the pussy's so good you just don't want to leave, you know?
The things that like it's, I don't know if it's proven or not, but it's pretty known that like you appreciate things more in your life that you have to work for.
Yes.
And if you don't have to work for pussy like that, will you appreciate the relationship with a chick? Or would you always have in the back of your mind that there's 400 other chicks you can swipe on?
Here's something that's fucked up about me that I can get crucified for.
Thank you.
All right. My turn.
But it's your fault, Jason.
All right. Okay. So no, it's not Jason's fault. I have had times before where I'd be talking to a chick and I'd be so fucking about it. Like, oh, dude, I just want to fucking date this chick. I want to like make her part of my life, da-da-da, you know? But all the while she's like, nah, I'm not sure what I want. I'm really confused, da-da-da, you know? And then the fucking day that she's like, I want to make this serious, you're like, oh, fuck. I don't even want to do this anymore, you know? Like, I'm not even into it.
Well, there's
you won the game, and then that's what's fucked up. But, like, that was me when I was younger.
Well, there's a thing, like, there's that, too, because in my generation, which... no matter what, on the gene pool of the generation shit that's going on,
it's always gonna be the same. Yeah,
it's definitely not the same. So my generation, you know, there was an aspect to chasing the chase of getting a chick, like you know, like just man, that girl's hot, or that girl, you know, she's not the girl that does stuff, and you don't want to be the guy to get her to do it or whatever, right? There's a chase.
That was just Jason's fantasy.
We're talking about butt stuff. Shit just went butt stuff.
He wants to corrupt all the fucking Christian woman. No. ChristianMingles.com.
Oh, God. But you know there's that chase aspect that, you know, makes it fun. Like meeting my wife. It was she was in fucking Florida and this, that, and the other, blah, blah. Everybody's heard the story, but it's like it was a chase aspect that made it fun, right? It made it fun. And then when she was here, it was still fun because we were actually compatible and whatnot. That's what it is. If the chick was right next door and I grew up with her, then
the difference. So
I don't know if it would just be a sentimental relationship. When
she finally says, like, yeah, I'm down to do this, and you feel like you worked really hard for it, maybe some people like yourself would be like, okay, finally, like, fuck yeah, I deserve this. Or then some other people are like, I'm bored, you know? And like that's
what I'm saying. It's desensitizing things to where it's
and
like as soon as there's a problem.
Since we're acclimated to this and the easiness of finding somebody to fuck or be with or date or love or whatever the fuck you want to call it, that's why our relationships nowadays are kind of fucked. Is just because of how easy it's gotten. Because of it's too simple. It's too easy to know that as soon as we break up, I could have some chick over at my house and I could be fucking her brains out the day we break up. Mm-hmm. Because.
Well, that's funny. So far we've talked about the side of the spectrum where the dude or the chick can't leave the dude that they need to leave, and now we have the other side where it's like, I'll fucking leave you right now and fuck another girl in 30 minutes, ho.
Yeah, and well, that's the thing about the human fucking brain, man. We're fucking weird, At least I know I am. I'm so two-sided.
Side of our generation,
yes.
Dude, I'm so two-sided. I'm like, one day I can be depressed as fuck, and the other day I can be the guy making other people depressed.
Think about how much things in life you can accomplish when, like, you're not on the prowl all day long every day.
I'm really not.
I could never be in the dating pool again, ever.
It's not like it used to. It's not hard.
Well, it's not that it's hard. It takes time. It takes time and effort.
There's commitment.
No, there's no effort. You know what you do? You eat your lunch. You swipe right without looking at what's going on. You're gonna match with somebody eventually. You put your phone down. Whatever. You leave it alone.
And then you got to go and
then
fucking
you have
court her.
And you think you have to court people? You're just like, hey, what are you doing tonight at 7:00? And they're like, oh, I'm not doing shit. And then you come over, you fuck them, and then you leave. It's not hard. That's what I'm saying. It's not hard like it used to be. It's not.
But to be invested in something like that, I'm saying, like, when you get to a certain point and you invest your time in stuff like that, like we have invested time in our, like, you had to invest time to make a relationship.
Well, yeah, and then you have to invest time to go over there and fuck her brains out.
Yeah,
I mean, you got to take time out of your day. You got to take the fucking 12 minutes it's going to take for you to nut.
Say, for instance, like, think about it like this. Like, you meet a chick and you spend the time, you go through the honeymoon phase, right? The time where everything is new, everything's fresh, and you're having a good time. And you obviously want that to last for a long time, but it does wear off. And things do become more, everyday shit, right?
Yeah.
And so once that everyday shit happens, then all of a sudden, like, your mind, you have space in your head to focus on things in life that need to be accomplished because you don't have that, like, when you get horny or whatever, it ain't like, fuck, I gotta find a chick, I gotta find something to do. Go. It's like, no, I just gotta be nice to my wife later on and she'll let me have sex with her or something. It's a lot easier.
Yeah.
But you can focus more of your life on things that you want to accomplish and achieve, and it's like it made it easier because I wasn't, when I was seeing somebody.
It's worse for me because if I'm in a relationship, man, whenever I'm in love, I'm fucking distracted from everything else in my life. I fucking love that woman. I want to just do everything with her. I want to be her asshole.
I've met guys that have gone and done stuff in their 20s and, like, spent a lot of their time, like, learning and going things, and if the opportunity come, cool. But then also meet guys kind of like you, where if you haven't had sex in like 2 days, it's like you're
I'm PMSing.
You're like on a caffeine fucking, like, you're itching like a like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So there's.
But for me, love to me is can be distracting.
And on that note, we're gonna wrap this one up.
No, we don't ever wrap it up, dude.
Hey-o.
Anyway, well.
No, I'm gonna say this right now. It's just. For some people, the whole the prowl or whatever you want to call it is distracting, but, like, love for me is distracting because then I want to put too much time into what's going on with that.
Yeah, I mean, I can see it could be both ends of the spectrum.
So it's like, it's much easier to not be in a relationship than it is to be in one for me. So, like, if I am in a relationship, then it's, like, something I'm really fucking about. You know what I mean? And it's not to say that I'll go around fucking all these chicks and I'm just like later and then never talk to them again. I legit build friendships with a lot of these people,
Friendships?
Well, he's saying he's a hoe for show.
Well, I'm saying I build friendships with people regardless of what's going on. And, you never know. Sometimes you might fall in love.
It's all about having as most people as possible at your funeral, right?
And today on Dr. Phil.
All right. It's a good ending note.
Thank you guys for coming out, and hope you guys enjoyed this awkwardly weird podcast.
It got weird about an hour and a half in.
Fucking awesome.
It got weird about 2.5 hours in.
2.5 hours? How long were we going?
3.5.
Fuck.
Good job, Jesse.
Peace out, bitches.
Later.
Like I said, I'm not really qualified to have much of an opinion on stuff like that, but I think through conversations and through those kind of things, we can kind of find clarity and find, other people's opinions about it, maybe help shape our own. So hope I didn't offend anybody. Hope none of this stuff offended anybody. But at the same time, man, we're just some dumbasses with microphones. So keep that in mind when you judge us. So, but thank you guys for checking it out. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Hope it got you through the day. Hope you found some answers to some of your questions if you were any of the guys that asked questions on the Instagram. At any rate, like I said, thank you. Don't forget to check out our sponsors, horsepowerinc.net, Horsepower Inc. Indy on Facebook, and Horsepower Inc. on Instagram. Like I said, they're having a Black Friday sale. You might want to jump in and check that shit out, especially if you're basically a Dynad bro, because I think the throttle bodies they're selling are for Dynas, the throttle bodies and stuff like that. Let's see, what was the deal? I think I found it. 58 millimeter or 62 millimeter M8 throttle bodies, originally $675 and will be $540 until Wednesday. So if you're hearing this tonight, you have till tomorrow to get that shit. So good luck with that. Also, I think that the cable driven throttle bodies, 51 millimeter and 55 millimeter, originally $695, will be 20% off starting tomorrow, which would be, I don't know when they released this, 2 days ago. So it's taking place right now. $556 plus shipping. HPI's Black Friday sale or pre-Black Friday. Yeah, good luck with that. Anyway, I also want to thank D&D for all their support and their help. D&D pipe, what is it? Man, oh man, gonna get fired. D&D, the word and D exhaust.com. You can check out all the great pipes and stuff, and for your Harley Davidsons and Indians. I believe they got some Indian pipes out there now. Good thing for that. Also, you can phone in 844 D&D pipe, order an exhaust system, and don't forget to put in the Fast Life one word or mention the Fast Life for 5% off. And then if you're a military veteran, you can still take advantage of the Veterans Day sale, which is 20% off for all current and former service members. So check them out. D, the letter N, D exhaust on Instagram, D exhaust.com. Check them out. Fuck with your boy. I also want to thank my buddy Mark Matthews. Once again, happy belated birthday. I can't stop telling you happy birthday, man. Check him out, Texas Performance MC, texasperformancemc.com. Instagram, same shit. Check him out, holler at him, go see him in Cedar Park. High five him, get you a Dixon flannel. It's cold now. Get some oil changes, some first service, some 10th services. I don't know where you're at in life. Just check them out. Cedar Park, Texas. Texas Performance MC. Tell them you heard about him through us. Also, Paint Huffer Metal Flake. Thank you, Brian, for all the awesome shit you do for us and all the kind words. Paint Huffer Metal Flake on Instagram and painthuffer.com if you would like to check out some of the products and see about getting laced up with some shirts, swag, hats, FBS tapes, flakes, pearls, and all that good stuff. Once again, guys, hopefully you'll check us out on our Instagram page, the Fast Life Podcast, and we're going to try to build that follower base up so that we can have more information about these podcasts released on there. So thank you guys for all the support. Thank you for the Patreon support. Working on a couple things for paint right now. I'm not lying. I'm seriously being serious right now. I'm gonna paint you guys some giveaways. Also working about some giveaways from guys like Paint Huffer and the other sponsors we have about some shirts and hats and other things we're gonna be trying to give away to our Patreon subscribers. So thank you guys for all that. Don't forget to check out everything going on, and hope you guys have a good week. We got my buddy Chris Moose coming on here shortly, so you'll probably be hearing him next Monday. So you guys have a great holiday, great Thanksgiving, and just, rock on.